Hi, please give us a minute to check the connection. Okay, we're live. Lloyd, are we live? Please confirm. Okay, we're
Yes,
live.
po. Okay.
Hello, good afternoon to the administrators of Gordon College, to the VPAA, Imelda Soriano, Dr. Imelda Soriano, and to all the deans, faculty members of Gordon College. Good afternoon and welcome to Developing Instructional Materials for Learning Environment, for Virtual Learning Environment, sponsored by St. Andrew Publishing House. I will be joined in by Dr. Shodi Sanandres and Marlon. But for the meantime, let me invite you to an opening prayer led by Marlon Santos.
Hello, everyone. Please join me in prayer. Let us pause for a while and remember that we are in the presence of the Lord. Let us pray. Almighty God and Father, we glorify and praise your mighty name. We acknowledge our insufficiency and great need of your mercy. We join the entire world in humbly asking for your healing as humanity experiences the pains and loss, suffering and impact of COVID-19 pandemic. You are our great healer. Have mercy on us. You are also our great teacher. Continue to enlighten our minds and hearts to seek the only essential in life, to grow and improve physically, psychologically, professionally, and spiritually. We thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to meet virtually, to find ways to better serve our students, our institution, and our community. Help us, Lord, to focus and engage fully to make the most out of this endeavor. Continue to bless the officials, faculty, and staff of Gordon College. Keep them safe and sound with their families. Bless and protect the president of St. Andrew Publishing House, Dr. San Andres, and use him further to help other institutions and faculty. Be with us, Lord, in these trying times, and guide us through with your Holy Spirit. All this we ask in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Marlon. Now, for the opening remarks, it's my pleasure to introduce Ma'am Christine Joy Mendoza, Director of the Human Resource Department, Gordon College. All right. Ma'am Christine is having some technical trouble with her connection, and probably we'll just get back with her after the connection is reestablished. Can I proceed to introduce following to our audience today this afternoon? I would like to remind you the following in order to for us to produce and have a very simulating and stimulating uh, webinar. First, please participate in polls and questions and answers. Whenever you have question, please make sure to type that question in on the comment section of St. Andrew Publishing House YouTube channel. Second, if ever you want the slides or the presentation that we will be providing this afternoon, please email our moderator through the comment section of St. Andrew Publishing House. If ever we have some technical slips, issues with connectivity, problem with the bandwidth, please bear with us. We are going to try to fix it as soon as we can. And finally, we hope that everybody learns and enjoy the topics that we'll be presenting this afternoon. It's my pleasure to introduce the President and CEO of St. Andrew Publishing House. He is also the Executive Vice President of Bulacan State University. He is an accredited professor, university professor of Bulacan State University. He is a former Dean of the College of Teachers Education, the newly elected chairperson Region 3, or the Philippine Association of Faculty, Teachers, and Educators. He holds a PhD in Linguistics from the Philippine Normal University, Taft, Manila. He's also the Zonal Director, National Budget Circular for 6-1 Region 3. He's a well-known educator, writer, publisher, and proprietor in both local and international level. He's the editor-in-chief in Korean Convergence Society and also the executive director of SERPS, or the Center for Inter-Institutional Research Policy Studies. He's an international reviewer and editor in various international journals and was awarded Solo Eminent Outstanding Alumnus 2019 Philippine Normal University. He was also awarded Dangal ng Plaridel 2019 from the Municipal Government of Plaridel, Bulacan. And Dr. Chody San Andres.
Thank you very much, Paul, Mr. Mendoza, and Mr. Santos. To the officials of Gordon College, Olongapo branch, to the key officials headed by President Arlida Pame, and then Vice President Dr. Imelda Soriano, and of course my friends, one of the officials of the PAPTE, Dr. Edric Gadja, the faculty members, and then the deans, the head, the area chair, and the members of PAPTE in Region 3, and all the officials of the institution. A pleasant good afternoon. First, I would like to say thank you to all of you for giving us a chance to uh, go with the mission and vision of your institution, especially for this pandemic. And one of the good works of educators is to guide and uh, give what is best instruction to the faculty members. I know that everybody is now looking for the best modalities that can be used to address the needs of our community, especially the faculty members and the students. Because of these challenges in the field of academe, we need to go beyond the expectation as educators in your respective institution. This problem due to the pandemic is not only a problem from the basic, higher education or the basic education or the DepEd. These challenges in the academies were really addressed among SUCs or local college or state universities and colleges in the region, that the Philippines has 112 SUCs in the region and the other local colleges addressing this pandemic. The CHED COVID Advisory number 6 and number 7, which is dated last April 16, 2020 by Director De Vera, stated that the guidelines for the higher education institution now experiencing academic challenges and other difficulties. The higher educations institutions shall be given the flexibility to extend classes, and the appropriate alternatives learning platforms may be utilized by the CHED and the other entities, or even SUCs, the electronic and non-electronic learning methods, module, self-directed learning activities, any modalities suited to the students using blended learning methods, whether it is distance education, face-to-face interaction, or electronic learning modality, can be used based on the needs of our students, because our concern today is just to give what is best to our students and the faculty. We need to have a massive training in order to come up with this possible solution to this COVID-19. And I believe even the key official of the Gordon College is still busy and looking for the best modalities. Learning delivery mode during the extended ECQ or GCQ or new normal, whatever the definition of new normal incoming, will depend on the available resources of the higher education institution, connectivity during the new normal uh, period. So we need to be elastic as teacher. We need to be flexible, using and adopting the best solution. As what I have mentioned a while ago during our meeting with our chancellors and the deans of the different colleges and campuses of Bulacan State University, that we need to be flexible about the decision of the national and the local governments in our respective places, because no one can determine and predict what will happen tomorrow. Maybe we are just discussing today is new, maybe tomorrow it is not really applicable. Now, St. Andrew is a institution or private entity that we could also extend our help to all of you, especially to the faculty members and the administrators. And we want to help people and students as our advocacy. One of the advocacies of St. Andrew Publishing House is just to look into a consideration the less fortunate but deserving students. Kasi ako din ay nagmula sa ganung uri ng mag-aaral. Kaya gusto kong ibahagi ano man ang meron sa akin. So as educator, I have 5 questions or 4 questions to be addressed this afternoon, and I encourage everyone to ask your queries and question to our lecturers. My dear faculty members of Gordon College and other institutions who are joining this afternoon, please prepare your questions. First question is, how to prepare the module? Second, who will approve the proposed module? Number 3, why do we need to write module at this time? Number 4, how to publish module? First, how to prepare module. I would suggest to all educators today, the effort or the process of collaboration is very much needed. We need to collaborate your expertise from one person to another in order to come up what is the best module that we could also use at this pandemic. And then at the same time, I encourage everyone to share your resources in your university to come up with your best module using the modified syllabus, modified curriculum, and other resources of your university, which I believe the cream of the crop of your faculty members are willing to share their expertise to come up with the uh, module or printed module that can be used among our learners. So next, who will approve the proposed module? At this time, this is what we call the concern and needs of your admin, your deans, the vice president, and the president. Of course, with the recommendation, assessment, and evaluation of the area chair, department head, the dean, and the vice president, who are in charge for the approval of the proposed module in your university. In our university, we have what we call a committee who will approve the proposed module, which is to be checked and endorsed by the dean, recommending approval by the vice president for academic affairs and approved by the president. But they should consider the equality. They should consider also the diversity of our college about the design of the module. The module design should be determined by the university, the design of the university, that we can also use that module as our form of our promotion for the next academic rank, because in our institution, we have what we call NBC, the National Budget Circular. In order to be promoted, we need to produce research, extension, and of course, production, and one of which is module, workbook, textbook, and manual. So on that point, let us involve the co-official of university to decide about what is the best type of module or IM that they will use in your platforms. Either we have what we call available instructional materials or module in our company. All you have to do is just get the link, the soft copy, which is you may also use in the link of your electronic device. You may use it to facilitate the e-learning. And for students who do not have yet connectivity, you may use printed materials to comply the 3 hours stipulated in our syllabus or our syllabi. And then, why do we need to write module? Based on our discussion, this is the right time to use and address the needs and the quality of education that we need of this pandemic. We do not have any resources. The thing that we can do is just to supervise and provide the printed materials, especially to the students who do not have yet a connectivity or the use of the gadgets and other devices. This time, it is another challenge for us to provide other resources, not only module, workbook, textbook, and so on. But today, in order to address of the demands and the requests of our Chairman De Vera, and of course in DepEd and other institutions, we need to look into a consideration the best modalities. And the best modalities or way that you can address is depend on the needs of your students and of course the budget allocation of your institution. Next question is how to publish module. First, to secure the copyright of your module to be published, St. Andrew has something to do with your with that particular aspect. We are going to provide the design, plagiarism check, grammar check, delivery, production, and so on and so forth. So at this time, St. Andrew has pledged for you to deliver and meet all the times, deadlines due to this pandemic. All you have to do is just send to our link, to our website, your proposed module. After which, we are going to improve the layout, the materials, the copyright, because we have a lot of editors, and then the delivery. And after which you are going to, we will send it back to the author for further enhancement, correction, suggestions based on our layout. After which you will be having correction, then you will send it to St. Andrew, and then the same procedure, we will incorporate your suggestions, correction in our hard copy or the soft copy, because there during the editing, there are two types or kinds of hard copy: the live and the dead manuscript. But this time, because of the COVID situation, we will use the electronic device to check whether we incorporated your correction. And after which, after the same procedure, you will approve for final printing of our company. After that, we will design the cover, we will design the good format, we will entertain your queries and suggestions for further improvement of your proposed module. After which, i-deliver namin ito ng buo para sa inyo. At ito na yung ating gagawin para sa this pandemic semester. So, those are a simple procedure on how to publish your proposed materials, and it is another challenge for us as a teacher to write, explore, and embrace all the challenges in this pandemic. I would like to ask and call the attention of all faculty members, whether you are teaching in the public and the private sectors. Please help the administrators, help the key officials to craft what is the best modalities that can be used and addressed to the present solution of our students. My dear fellow teachers, you are free to send your question and your queries in the email or any questions pertaining to this proposed module writing. Again, please don't forget to like, subscribe our web page so that we could also improve our undertakings on this particular module writing. Again, St. Andrew Publishing House is willing to help you because it is one of my advocacy is to help educators and students. To all official president, vice president, and the deans, area chairs of the Gordon College, good afternoon, feel relaxed, and then enjoy viewing and listening to these lectures. Again, good afternoon and God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. San Andres, for giving the rationale of this activity. Now, unfortunately, we cannot re-establish the connection of Ma'am Christine Mendoza. We will try to continue connecting with her in order for her to give her message, probably after
Para makita.
the first presentation.
Send ko tayo sa
Now,
email.
to give an overview about module writing, its historical backgrounds, as well as all the pedagogical underpinnings in relation to module writing, may I present to you my friend Marlon Santos.
Thank you very much, Sir Paul, for that introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to the faculty, to the faculty of Gordon College. I'm very happy to be with you this afternoon and to welcome you to our webinar. This endeavor is made possible by the partnership of your institution with St. Andrew Publishing House. So I'm Marlon. I'll be your first resource person for this afternoon, and I am tasked to share with you on Module Writing 101, Instructional Material for Virtual Learning Environment. So let's get going. First things first, I'd like to ask you, kamusta po kayo sa inyong mga bahay? I hope you are healthy and sound with your families and loved ones. Definitely, friends, this situation we're in relation to COVID-19 pandemic has changed the way we live. And definitely, it would change the way we work. So in a typical normal situation, we faculty deliver our lectures in front of our students, right? So we are in the same room, we deliver our lectures. But because of this pandemic, because of this COVID-19, this setup will not be possible in the coming months until, of course, the vaccine is discovered and become available in the market. But given the situation, given this constraint, we cannot meet our students inside the class. So given this constraint, how can we do our job? How can we deliver our teaching? How would learning be possible? So that's the question people in the academy now are talking about, are thinking about. How will learning be possible if face-to-face interaction is discouraged or prohibited by the government? Now, since face-to-face classroom has no place now, is not possible given the situation, we can now resort to what is known as virtual learning environment. So friends, what is virtual learning environment? What is VLE? Virtual learning environment, or VLE, is a set of teaching and learning tools designed to enhance the students' learning experience by including computers and the internet in the learning process. So this is a kind of instruction, this is a setup, this is a modality of learning which is mediated, okay, by the use of computers. We in the tertiary level in the Commission on Higher Education have more control over the curriculum or the syllabus, unlike to what is the case to our friends in the DepEd. Because of the virtue of academic freedom, we have the choice how to teach a subject, what instructional material to use, or what methods of teaching to employ. That's why VLE is easier to be used or to be adapted in our setup compared to our friends from the DepEd. Furthermore, as I go on with my presentation this afternoon, I'd like to clarify some two major concepts, which I would be using more often in my discussion. The first one is the word learning. In my presentation, learning refers to the activity of acquiring knowledge and or skill. So whenever I talk about learning, this is what I'm referring to. This is the activity, this is the act of our students acquiring obtaining knowledge and or skills. Teaching, on the other hand, aids learning. So this is what we do as teachers. We help our students, we facilitate the activity in order for learning to take place. Now, from this paradigm, we could see that emphasis is given so much on the learning. Okay, so in the recent years, curriculum are developed with this thing in mind, that the emphasis or the stress is on the learning. Now, let us remember that no matter how important, no much, regardless of how important learning is, teaching is the only thing that we have control on. No matter how much efforts we put in teaching, it would not guarantee that learning would take place. Why? Because there are many factors, okay, that influence, that affect learning. It's not just teaching, okay? It doesn't follow that when you teach well, learning will take place. We all know that, for those of us who are in the teaching profession for a while. So teaching is what we intend to bring forth when we teach. Learning is what we intend to bring forth when we teach. So let's talk about teaching. This is the only thing we have control on. Now, remember that when we teach, especially in this modality of learning, which is a virtual learning environment wherein we are not face to face with our students, we should always make it a point to provide our students with some learning tools. Okay, what are learning tools? These are some guides that students can use on how to do or how to start doing something. Okay, so in a virtual learning environment, these learning tools will help our students to learn on their own. What I mean is, when we assign a reading assignment to our students, make sure that we provide them some guide questions that would facilitate learning and understanding. When we assign a paper or oral presentation, we should make it the point that we provide it with a template, with a sample, and some guidelines on how to do the oral and paper presentation. We should also give them some tips on how to attend and make the most of a virtual uh, lecture like this. Okay, so those are what we mean by learning tools. But despite all this, we could see that teaching is a challenging job. The question I'd like to answer now is, what makes teaching effective? Okay, so if it is the only thing we have control on, what makes teaching effective? By the way, before I forget, let us not forget, let us always remember that good teaching begins with good planning. Good teaching begins with good planning. And that planning is reflected in our syllabus. Okay, that planning is very much reflected on the way we facilitate the teaching learning experience. But how or what would make teaching effective? Okay, remember, in whatever setup, be it a face-to-face interaction in the classroom or the virtual learning environment wherein it would be a mediated instruction, effective teaching requires two things. First, mastery of the subject matter. Okay, we teachers cannot afford not to know our subject. Okay, because we cannot give what we do not have. We can teach what we do not know. So we must know our subject by heart. Be it a face, again, let me repeat that. Be it a face-to-face classroom interaction or a virtual learning environment that uses computer or the internet, we teachers always have to know our subject by heart. We must always have this mastery of our subject matter. The only thing that is changed here is the way we deliver our job, our instruction. But it doesn't exempt the teacher from knowing his or her subject. I hope it's clear to everyone. Next, an effective teaching always has the ability, a teacher always has the ability to engage the students in the teaching learning process. Now, this is a challenge in a face-to-face classroom interaction, but the more it would be pronounced, the more it would become difficult in a virtual learning environment. Just imagine, look at this. You are very much engaged in your teaching at the comfort of your home, while your students are also, okay, occupied with different things other than your teaching, because they are bombarded. They are experiencing a lot of things that distract their attention. So we need to engage. So engaging their attention becomes a challenge more so in a virtual learning environment. So the question now would be, how to engage our students' attention. There are two requisites or two requirements. First, we must employ effective teaching strategies. Later on, I'll give you some suggested strategies or methods that we can use in a virtual learning environment. But number two, let us remember that it is always complemented with the use of instructional material. They always go hand in hand. Okay, we cannot afford to have only one. Why? You might be you might be employing effective switching strategies, but if your instructional material is a little bit problematic, the teaching learning experience would not be that complete. Okay, meanwhile, if you use a good instructional material, but if your teaching strategies is a little bit inappropriate and not that effective, okay, the students may not get the most out of the lessons. So they should always go hand in hand. Effective teaching strategies coupled or plus the use of effective instructional material. So don't forget this too. For us to engage our students in the teaching learning process, we need to employ or to use these two things. Now let's talk more about instructional material because we come from a publishing house. So this is what we do. We produce effective instructional materials. As to teaching strategies, we can set up another webinar on that thing for us to expound that matter. But for the meantime, let's zero in on instructional material. I hope you're still following me. Let's move on. Instructional material, according to Brian Tomlinson, one of the leading experts in instructional material development, according to him, instructional material is anything, take note of the definition, it could be anything which is deliberately used by a teacher to increase the student's skills and or knowledge. So it could be anything we bring into our classroom with the intention of using it to increase our students' skills and or knowledge. We use this thing to help our students gain or obtain knowledge or to learn how to do something. So from this definition, a wide array of materials could be considered as IM or instructional material. A printed book could be used as instructional material. A gadget like cell phone or computer can be used as instructional material. A newspaper, which we call this authentic materials. Newspaper is called authentic material. Why? Because it's not made to be used inside the classroom. It is made for another purpose, but we use it, we bring into the class in order to be used for instruction. Okay? So we can also use printed material. So since again, we are from a publishing house, we will focus now on the printed materials. What are examples of printed instructional materials? So instructional material provides a detailed specification of content even in the absence of a syllabus. So our students don't normally see what a syllabus is. They don't even have an idea what a curriculum or what a curriculum looks like. But in everyday meeting with them, it is our instructional material that we use in our classroom that they have encountered with, that they have experienced, that they have idea. So instructional material becomes the most important element, okay, of a curriculum and the most tangible part of it. You say tangible, it's something that it's real for our students. Okay, syllabus may not be something real for them. A curriculum is not something tangible for them, but instructional material is something real for our students. What are the different types of instructional material? First, the most common for all of us, the textbook. The textbook serves as the main reference for the entire course. So for all of us here who have handled a course, who have handled a subject, most probably we have used one in our classroom. It contains readings, teaching points, drills, activities, tasks for everyday lesson. So it always goes with a workbook. What is a workbook or a skill book? It usually accompanies a textbook. It provides exercises and drills for specific skills. So if the textbook contains the lessons, the teacher's inputs about the topic, the workbook serves as the exercise part. This is the practice guide of our students. Okay? So they always go hand in hand. The main purpose of a workbook or a skill book is to provide reinforcement. Take note, reinforcement and remedial activities to the lessons, okay, to support as lessons which are found on the textbook. So that's why traditionally textbook and workbook uh, were apart. There are two different textbooks, or there are two different instructional materials. But now the trend is they are combined together. They are fused into one. Perhaps you have heard of the work text. That's it. That's the combination of the textbook and the work text. The textbook, the work text contains elements of the textbook, which are the lesson or the inputs, and the elements of the workbook, which are the exercise part, which are detachable. Familiar? There are the pages which are detachable. So that's what we call the work text. Now, the other type of instructional material, which most of us are not familiar with, but some of us may have encountered in the past, is what is known as the module. Okay, so what is a module? A module is a self-learning kit. Okay, self-learning kit. Why is it called self-learning kit? Because it is intended to be used by students on their own. Okay, so even in the absence of the teacher, even if the students are in the comfort of their homes or wherever they want to be, they can use this instructional material for their own learning. That's why self-learning kit. It makes the teacher a little bit unnecessary. Okay, don't be offended with that. But that's it. The intention of the module, to develop among our students independent learning. We want our students to learn how to learn on their own. Did you get that? We want our students how to learn on their own. That's why module is designed, okay, to help our students to become independent learners. Now, a word of caution. Modules are intended to develop among our students independent learning, but it doesn't mean that when we use a module in our class, they are automatically independent learners. No, they need to be guided. They need to be monitored from time to time. We need to teach them how to become independent learner as they use the module. Okay, makes sense? Okay, that's good. Module also contains pre-tests, post-test, lesson inputs, exercises, and drills. So this is very much similar to the textbook and the work text. But the difference is, again, it is used even in the absence of the teacher in the same room with our students. Now, according to Russell, module is an instructional package dealing with the single conceptual unit of a subject matter. Meaning to say, we prepare a module for each lesson. Okay, are you following me? We need to prepare a module for each lesson. Let's say you introduce 1 or 2 lessons per week. So you will need to prepare one module for that week. So that's a package, okay? Instructional package to discuss, to introduce, to teach our students one, okay, or single conceptual unit of a subject matter. So your course or your subject may be consisted, may be comprised with several modules which will be used per week. When did it begin? Okay, this is a good question. You know? When did the use of module begin? Because module has become a common has become a very common term now among teachers in the Philippines because of this pandemic, wherein face-to-face interaction is no longer possible for the meantime. I know it will not be possible for the meantime. So when did it begin? Actually, it was actually in the late 1960s. You know, almost 60 years ago, when a group of lecturers in Texas began experimenting mediated instruction combined with behavioral objectives and interclass groupings. Could you imagine that? Almost 60 years ago, when module was first used by American professors. Okay, so let's try to look at these highlighted words in this phrase from this statement. It is a mediated instruction, meaning to say it's not a directly delivered, not in a face-to-face setup, but it is mediated, meaning we use a media or a medium in order to deliver the instruction. So this medium or media is more often than not technology based media. So it could be a computer, it could be a gadget with the help of with the aid of internet and the like. There are behavioral objectives. So the same in a typical classroom we're in, we set some goals, learning goals. We set some aims, okay, objectives, and use in an interclass groupings. It has something to do with the class size. Later on, I'll expound on that. But for the meantime, let me just settle on the thing that module is very much ideal to be used in a small sized class. But if you have a big size class, there's no problem. You can still use a module. But later on, I'll give you some suggestions how to use it. Next, it was only in the 1990s, after 30 years when it was first introduced, that American professors began to use modules in teaching regular classes. Why did it take 30 years for them to use it in a regular course? Because researches have been done in order to investigate on the effectiveness of modules. It was found out by several researchers that the use of modules, okay, um, brought down the percentage of absenteeism among the students. It was also found out that it promoted longer retention of the lessons among the students who use modules. And third, uh, it made the students more engaged in the teaching learning setup or experience. So we will see in our own classroom if this would be the same results, because we will just try this now. This is new to us, ano? Pero 1990s pa siya sinimulan sa US. Sa Pilipinas nga raw, ano, hindi pa uso ang hindi na uso. Ano? Hindi na uso, matagal nang ginagamit sa US. Pero tayo, susubukan pa lang natin yung bago pa rin siya sa atin. Anyway, what are the characteristics of learning using modules? Okay? What are the characteristics of learning using modules? First, it uses content-mediated instructional techniques, texts and reference materials, demonstrations, and group activities. If you would notice this characteristic, it's very much similar to our typical regular classroom, right? There are instructional techniques. We use texts. There are some reference materials. We do demo, and there are some group activities. The only word, again, that makes this different, a little bit different, is the word mediated, okay? We still do what we normally do inside the classroom, but this time, it would be mediated. It would not be directly delivered to our students, but we will be using technology as a medium or media to deliver our instruction. Next, it is also designed for both for individuals and for small groups. Again, this is very much ideal to be used in a tutorial basis wherein you only have one or two students, and for small groups because they are manageable, they are easier to control. However, if you have a big class, there are some guidelines that you can use later on. Third, it uses verbal and visual elements. Okay, so these are the elements in our module. First are the verbal elements. What are the verbal elements? Language expressions, functions, language items, grammars, and tenses. So this is the language part, the language input of our module. Visual element, on the other hand, refers to the diagrams, graphs and charts, flow charts, tables, and pictures. So these these things reinforce what are presented using the verbal element. Now remember, in a module, verbal and visual elements are equally important. Okay? You might be the type of teacher who just bring your whiteboard marker when you deliver your lectures. That is possible in a face-to-face interaction because aside from your language, you also have some use of your facial expression, your eye contact, and the like, which we do not have the luxury of when we are in a virtual learning environment, when we have a modular-based instruction. We don't see our students face-to-face. So we cannot just rely on the verbal elements. Visual elements for that matter are equally important. So kung tati po ay hindi tayo naggagamit ng PowerPoint o ng mga pictures and graphs to deliver our lectures, in a module, they are very much needed. What are the things that we need to consider in preparing a module? There are actually 6 on the list of experts, that we need to look into when we prepare a module. Can you look at them? The goals, the class size, the role of the teacher, educational technology, the content, and evaluation. Let's discuss each of them. First, the goals. When you prepare, okay, when you consider using a module, you have to first consider what are the learning outcomes that I set. Meaning to say, what are your aims? What do you intend to achieve? What are your objectives? What do you want your students to get from this learning experience using a module? But this would not be complete without the second half. What is that? The teaching methods. What do we need to do in order for our students to achieve the learning outcomes? So these two go hand in hand. So these are some questions that we have to reflect on before using a module. First, what do our students supposed to learn and able to do? Learn the knowledge, information, the theories, and able to do the skills that they need to demonstrate afterwards. But we should not stop here. We should also explore, number two, how would be their thinking and behavior changed by the lesson? Remember, we intend to make them independent learners. So the first thing that you have to change when we intend our students to become independent learner is to change their attitude. Attitude is how we look at things. Attitude is how we view, how we perceive things. Because attitude matters here. What Unless the attitude of our students would be changed, learning would not be that much effective. Very much similar to the teachers, right? What is our attitude towards this modality of learning? This is something new to us. Lagi tayong takot sa bago, no? Ayaw po natin ng pagbabago. Sanay kasi tayo hindi takot tayo sa bago, hindi dahil sa hindi natin alam yung mangyayari doon. Kundi takot tayo sa bago kasi natatakot tayong iwan yung nakasanayan na natin. So wala tayong choice. Given the situation, we can explore other possibilities. Ang mahirap po dito sa mga online learning and modular-based instruction is hindi pa naman natin nasusubukan, may prejudice na kagad tayo na, ay, mahirap yan, ay, hindi yan magiging successful, ay, mahihirapan ng mga estudyante dyan. That's unfair to this modality of learning, I guess. No? For me, at sa tingin ko, attitude yun eh. At kung magtutuloy ito, while we have that kind of attitude, it would be communicated to our students. The students would feel that. Na si teacher man, si professor man, si ma'am man, si sir man, ay hindi totally dito sa kind of this modality of learning. So kahit sila, ay hindi may inspire na mag-aral using this. So it's a matter of changing the attitude that would affect eventually the behavior of the learners. We also have to consider, friends, the theories of learning. Just a brush up, just a review. Perhaps you have encountered this in your undergraduate, but there are actually 3 theories of learning. Okay? Did you know that before the 20th century, there was no coherent theory on how humans learn? Yes, teaching has been here for a while, but we don't have a clear-cut idea how do we learn. Basta turo lang ng turo yung mga masters in the past. Some became effective and successful, some were not. Pero wala tayong idea kung paano talaga natututo ang tao. But come the 20th century, thank you to psychology, when it gained some respects and acceptance in the academe, that we gain some insights on how do we really learn. Tatlong theories po ang binabanggit ng mga experts. Una yung behaviorism, proposed by Ivan Pavlov in Russia and Boris Frederick Skinner in the US. So primarily, behaviorism states that learning is a habit formation. Okay? That's the thing that we have to remember about behaviorism, that it is a habit formation. Anong equation ng mga behaviorists? Behavior equals stimulus plus response. Naalala niyo na po? So, for you to have a learning, you have to keep on repeating and doing the same thing over and over. Naalala niyo si Pavlov at ang aso niyang naglalaway sa bell, So, kaya sa school, marami tayong mga routines at mga drills. We want our students to keep on doing the same thing because according to this theory, learning is habit formation. The second theory is what is known as cognitivism or mentalism in other literature. So what is cognitivism? Cognitivism asserts that learning is not habit formation, but hypothesis formation. So what does it mean? Sabi ng cognitivists, mga proponents ng cognitivism, we are not tabula rasa. Okay? Learning is not out from outside in. Okay? Learning is not from outside in, but it is from inside out. We need to we need to learn. We need to uh, think ideas. We need to think from the inside to the outside. So it's not just habit formation. It's not just, but we think we're using our minds in order for us to learn on to make sense of the experience or what we encounter. So that is mentalism or cognitivism. It's not from the outside in, but inside out. The third theory of learning is known as the constructivism. So, what is constructivism? So, basically, it's a combination of the two, behaviorism and cognitivism. Constructivism believe that yes, we make hypotheses, we think using our minds, but we need a stimulus in order to trigger our minds and to make sense of that experience. That's why it's called constructivism. We construct meaning based on what we experience. The fourth one is not actually a theory, but more of a factor. And what is that? The affective factor. So, what do we have to remember about the affective factor? Yes, we teach our students. We most of the time we think that we are rational beings. We think that we make our decisions based on our careful analysis and critical thinking. But let us remember that more often than not, our decisions are very much affected by our emotions and our feelings. So that's the point. We teach our students, and our students are also human beings with feelings and emotions. The thing we have to remember about affective factor is the element of motivation. Unless our students are motivated, no amount of teaching could help them in order for them to learn. Okay? We also have to employ or consider our teaching methods, appropriate teaching strategies in order to put across the lesson to our students. Now, when preparing goals, nasa goals pa lang naman tayo, remember the word SMART. Pamilyar na pamilyar naman tayong lahat dito sa SMART. Ano yung SMART natin? Specific, meaningful, appropriate, realistic, and uh, baligtad yung spelling, testable. Sorry po. So what do we mean by specific? Your objective should provide details about particular aspects of the expectation. It should be clear, friends. It should be clear between the teacher and the students what we intend to accomplish using the module, what we intend to gain, what we intend to learn using the module. So it answers the question what? What do we intend to learn using the module? Next is meaningful. It should be written in language that is understandable both to the students and other staff. When you say other staff here, if you're teaching in the basic education, okay, especially in elementary, the parents should also know the reason, okay, why you teach your students these lessons or the skills. So being meaningful only means that it should be clear why we are learning these skills and these lessons. Okay? So it should be something relevant. Take note of this. It should be relevant to our students. They should know why they are learning these skills and what for. Where are they to use these skills? So if specific is the what, meaningful is the why. Why do I have to learn this? Most of the time, our students would not take our lesson seriously because they cannot see the direct relevance of what they are learning in real life. They can see where to use the thing that they are learning in your class to their life or in their career in the future. Saan ko ba gagamitin yan? Bakit ba tinuturo ni ma'am yan o ni sir yan? So wala naman siyang gagamitan sa buhay ko. So dapat meaningful siya. It should be relevant to our students' experiences. Third, it should be appropriate. Okay, the goals that we set for our module should be appropriate. It suit the learner's abilities and experience and satisfy the required standards. Okay, so what do we mean by required standards here? So of course, in the tertiary level, we're talking here of the competencies prescribed by the Commission on Higher Education. If you are in the undergraduate, we are talking about the competencies prescribed by the Department of Education. It could be the competencies, it could be the goals and objectives of your institution, of your college, of your department. Okay, so this is what we intend to produce as graduates. So what do we mean by standards? It should also be appropriate, take note of this, to the level, the present level of abilities and experience of our students. It should not be way too beyond or too difficult for them, or way too below or easy for them. Why is that so? If an objective, okay, if a goal, if an academic learning goal is way too beyond their present ability, the students would lose their interest. Okay, they would just end up saying, oh, it's not for me, I just give up, it's too difficult for me. Okay, meanwhile, if it is too easy or way below their present ability, they would uh, they would find it boring because there's no challenge. They cannot find any challenging thing about the task or about the goal because it's too easy for them. So that's the tendency, friends. If it is too difficult, they would find it they would lose interest. If it is too easy, they would just get bored. So what's the appropriate level? It should be a little bit higher. Take note of this. It should be a little bit higher than their level of than their present level of ability. It should not be at the same level because there would be no learning, right? It should be a little bit higher than their present ability. Next, realistic. Your goals, your objectives should be realistic, meaning to say they are achievable given the time constraints. Meaning to say, if it is just a semester, you only have 4 or so months to finish this, they should be attainable given the time, and also the available resources. Would the objective, would the goal require the students to spend more than what is necessary? Let us not forget the situation our students and all of us are in. Okay, we have limited movement because of the quarantine. Most of our students, our parents are laid off. They don't have uh, steady income because of the situation. So we should not expect them to do more than what is necessary or demanded by the course. Finally, the objective or the goal should be testable. It can be tested. So there should be some measures of progress and achievement which can be made. Dapat nasusukat kung natutunan ba ng estudyante or hindi. Later on, I'll talk about being testable on the assessment. So those are the 5. Specific, meaningful, appropriate, realistic, and testable. What about class size? Kanina ko pa ito binabanggit, yung virtual learning environment or yung modular-based instruction, mediated instruction. The first thing that you have to ask yourself is, would it be used for individual or group? Again, for individual, it's ideal. It's very much appropriate to be used for tutorial basis or limited number of students. Now, if it is a group, the next question is, would it be large or small group? Let's say you have a class of 60 students. How would you do that? Is it possible? Yes. Okay. Would it be effective? Yes. How? There are activities that you can use for a large group, but there are activities wherein you need to divide class into clusters or small groups. Okay, a lecture like this, a virtual lecture, inputs from the teachers can be given in a large group. You can just provide your students the link, or if your students don't have the resources, or let's say they don't have internet connection at home, you can provide them with a soft copy through a USB connection or USB, and then they can just bring it at home and watch it on their cell phone or their TV. So it could be done by group. But when you have consultation and performance and demonstration or sharing, brainstorming, these things can be done by small groups. So you can divide the class into clusters, okay? Into clusters. So the answer to that is there are activities which can be done by the entire class, but but there are activities wherein you have to divide the class into small groups or clusters. The next consideration when it comes to class size is it distant? Meaning to say, is it online, okay, or modular like this, or face to face, okay? Would it be a combination of a face to face class or and a modular base or online? Is it blended learning or pure online or pure modular? So these are the things that you have to consider in when talking of class size. Next, the role of the teacher will also be a little bit modified. Medyo mababago po yung trabaho natin kasi una, wala nga tayo sa isang classroom. Hindi natin nakikita yung mga students on a day-to-day basis. Ano? So we'll be using a module, okay? Self-learning kit, the students would bring it home. So what would be the role of the teacher? Sabi ko kanina, teacherless ang module. So hintayin na lang natin yung sweldo natin. Hindi po, magagalit naman yung admin natin. Ano? Tsaka yung mga magulang ng mga estudyante. So ano magiging role po ng teacher? Una, the teacher at the initial stage would be doing a lot of directing. Okay, in directing, sa initial stage po ito ng gamit ng module, ano, you will provide your students with inputs. So dito na po papasok yung mga supplemental lectures na online or recorded, di ba? Yung mga kung the students have internet connection, so you can deliver a lecture like this. They are at their homes, ano, at the comfort of their homes, and you are delivering a lecture like this. So nakikinig sila. Supplemental siya sa module. Kasi may module na sila sa bahay, no? Printed material na po yung module. Eh. So yung lecture ay yon. So directing. You should also provide them with a clear schedule. Sa part of directing ng teacher yan, yung paggamit ng module ay yung scheduling. Meaning to say, gaano ba kadalas yung lecture? Kailan nila isasubmit yung mga activities? And so forth and so on. So we need to do a lot of directing. Sa initial stage po yan. As you go on at the use of module, mababago na. We will be putting a different hat now because we will be providing more of guidance. So guiding naman yung magiging role ng teacher. Why guiding? Because after providing with them inputs, the students would now go back to their modules. In the module, so supplemental parts, may lecture pa rin, may inputs pa rin sa modules. Sa module, nandun din yung discussion how to do something. Then the students would practice. Okay? Because of course, sabi nga ng behaviorism, learning is habit formation. So the students would try to do the skill. Okay? So dito, papasok si teacher, guidance naman ang ipoprovide mo sa students. So mag-schedule ka ng consultation. Again, pwede itong online kung wala talagang face-to-face interaction or pwedeng hindi naman pag sinabing online, hindi naman sinabing internet kagad, pwede namang text. Aminin natin, medyo dagdag trabaho siya talaga kay teacher, no? Pero hindi ka naman 8 to 5 sa classroom this time. We'll be using the benefit of the technology in order to reach our students. So guiding, you will provide them some guidance in their practice of the newly learned skill. In providing guidance, dito nyo papasok yung feedbacking. The students would be given some feedbacks as to how do they perform. Are they doing it right or how to improve and something like that. Towards the end of the use of the module, the role of the teacher would shift to monitoring. Okay? So kanina sa directing, nag-input ka, gumamit si estudyante, tuloy-tuloy yung gamit niya ng module, guidance na lang. Sa bandang dulo, monitoring na. So kasi sa guiding, pinapractice po nila yung skill. Pag natutunan nyo yung skill, dun mo sila gegradean after ng practice. So imo-monitor mo na sila, how do they perform the skill that they have learned. Okay? So check nyo din sila, tutulungan nyo silang ma-monitor sa monitoring whether they achieve the objectives or the goals set at the beginning of the module. So ito po yung magiging role ng teacher sa gumagamit ng module or sa virtual learning environment, sa mediated instruction. Directing, okay? Guiding and monitoring. Later on, I'll expound on these parts pag meron na akong sample mamaya ng procedure. Next. Ito na, yung methods or methodologies, strategies, ano po yung pwede natin gamitin? pwede pa rin mag-lecture. Okay? Kung kayo po ay tulad ko na talagang lecture-based ang strategy, pwede pa rin. Okay? So kung online, tulad nito, marami po tayo pero nagkakarinigan tayo. Tutorial, pwede yan, one-on-one, to talk sa mga limited number of students. Seminar or webinar like this. Demonstration, ito ina-advise po natin. Sa lecture, you may provide the verbal inputs, the verbal elements, the lecture. Okay? Sa demo, you can provide your students with the links. There are many how-to videos on YouTube. Ikaw na yung mamili. Or if you can record you doing the skill, the better. Para mas nakaka-relate sa student na, uy, si ma'am yung nagde-demo, si ma'am yung nagtuturo. Pwede rin naman, walang masama kung you will provide it with them with some para ikaw yung magpo-provide, ikaw yung magbibigay nung link talaga na gagamitin ng estudyante. Marami naman po sa YouTube na pwedeng gamitin. You can also use laboratory and experiment, laboratory and experiment. Just a word of caution, lalo na sa science teacher, mga professors po ng science. Remember that we are not in the same room with our students. So it would be a challenge, how to let them do some experiments in their homes, in the comfort of their houses. So may mga activities po siguro na pwede namang simulations or video na lang ang papagawa. Pero yung mga safe, yon pwede po natin ipagawa sa kanilang bahay. Workshop, role-play and simulations, and projects. Of course, yung project is para ma-demo ng estudyante yung learning nila. Educational technology, we have to consider if our instruction is supported or mediated by gadgets. Nag-survey na po ba ang school? Ilan sa students ang may gadgets? Ilan sa students ang may computer sa bahay or laptop? Okay? May internet connection ba? Again, this is only for supplemental parts, supplemental elements, because may printed modules naman po tayong gagawin. Yun yung iuuwi nila sa bahay. Kaya lang para maging, they can get the most out of the experience at para magkaroon ng monitoring si teacher, dapat ay meron pa rin tayong mga consider ng educational technology. As regards the content of our module, we have to consider two things. Yung minds-on, ito po yung theory-based, and then yung hands-on, yung practically based. Pag ginagawa niyo po yung module niyo, so ito yung dalawang consider natin. Ano bang mga elements, mga theory-based ang ilalagay ko sa module? At ano ba yung mga skill-based o yung mga practically based, yung hands-on na kailangan ng practice and demonstration by our students. Finally, yung assessment. Kayo po ba yung tipo ng teacher na parang ako dati na gusto lang magturo, ayaw ng assessment? Hindi po pala pwede yun, Teaching will never be complete without testing. So, two sides of the coin siya, Hindi kumpleto ang teaching pag walang testing. Hindi rin naman pwedeng testing lang, walang teaching. Dapat laging dalawa. Testing or assessment is essential for our students to demonstrate their learning. So for them to show, for them to show us that we have learned, sir, your lesson. We have learned, ma'am, what you taught us. It is also important for the teachers to see where to provide remedial instruction and more motivation. Makikita mo kasi yung performance ng student pag tinest mo sila, inassess mo sila, kailangan ba ng remedial instruction? Kailangan bang ulitin yung pagtuturo nito? Kailangan ba silang bigyan pa ng suggestion and tips how to do it better? Ito po yung mga suggested valid assessment. The first column refers to the goal. Ito po yung objective natin. Ito yung gusto nating matutunan nila. Yung second column, content and learning. Ito yung methodology, the teaching methods or strategies. Finally, yung testing o assessment. Tingnan po natin. On the first row, when our objective is to teach our student a skill. Example, how to write an email. Okay? How to write an email. How to drive a car. Skill yan eh. So, how to write an email, when you intend to teach them that skill, the methodology should be a detailed direction and demonstrations. Hindi lang direction. Hindi lang how to. Ito, how to, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You should also show them how to write one. And when you talk of demonstration, you should also provide them with some samples. Okay? Ang mga estudyante, pag nakakita ng example, mas 50% ng trabaho alam na nila kung paano yung gagawin. Di ba? And it should be followed by practice. Now, remember, yung practice po, hindi siya gigradean kagad. Ano? Nag-seminar kami ganito 2 weeks ago with faculty of sa Visayas, sa Leyte. Ang tanong po sa amin ay, lahat ba ng activities dito sa modular-based instruction ay kailangan gradean? Lahat ng activities? Hindi po. Some activities are meant for practice. We shouldn't grade them. But we should always provide feedbacks. Yun po yun. So, ang ginigradean lang, yung pangatlong column, assessment. So, sa practice, feedbacks ang bigay mo, suggestion and tips. Sa pangatlo, observation of students performing the skill, yun ang gradean mo. Kasi na-practice na nila yon kanina. Another, if the outcome is to illustrate theory to give understanding, the strategy should be to teach the appropriate theory and what are the tasks to do. And to test them, we should ask them to short test. We should ask them to answer a short test requiring demonstration and application of theory. Or we can ask them to write an output in order for us to check whether they have a grip of what we have introduced them. Finally, if the skill is to write a report, we should provide them in our instruction, in our content or learning. We should provide them with report format. Ito po yung sinasabi ko kanina. Kailangan mag-provide tayo ng text types because every genre has a text type. Okay? Iba ang text type ng email sa text type nito sa thesis paper. Iba ang text type ng research paper sa menu or sa cookbook. Iba-iba po no. So kailangan pag nagtuturo tayo ng mga writing, we should provide them with some samples format. We should ask them also to practice and to use what appropriate theory to use. Students would be asked to produce a written report to specification. That would be the assessment. Now, in preparing your module, remember that there should be a coherence among the three. The learning outcomes, yung objective, yung goals natin, yung teaching methods, how would you teach them, and assessment, how would you test them. Yun po yung example ko kanina sa previous slide. Ito po, magkakatugma sila. Yung gusto mong ituro, paano mo ituturo, at pagkaturo mo, paano mo itetest kung natutunan ba nila yung skill na yon o yung lesson na yon. Okay po. So some more guidelines. I'm nearing the end of my presentation. Please bear with me here. Build on foundation. Friends, it simply means when introducing a lesson using a module, we should always begin with what students are familiar with. Ganun naman ang principle of teaching, right? We always begin with what is familiar before we move to something unfamiliar. We begin with which are known to our students before we introduce the unknown. Okay? So that the students can relate, students would feel comfortable learning the skills. So, sabi ng mga psychologists, activate the schema, activate the background knowledge, begin with what students know and can relate to before you introduce something new for them. Okay? Next, guide on what is to be learned. So it's a matter of scheduling. It's a matter of arranging the format of how are you going to use the module. So, dapat malinaw po sa mga estudyante yon. Again, we are not in the same room with our students. They don't have we don't have the chance to answer all their questions and clarifications. So, dapat malinaw sa kanila during your consultation and meetings kung paano gagamitin ng module. Anong schedule per week. Anong gagawin nila, anong kailangan ma-accomplish nila. So guide them on how to use the module and how to learn using the module. Process activities. So that's why every once in a while it is recommended that we meet with our students and have the consultation for them to make sense of what they did. Dapat tinutulungan natin yung students na makita yung relevance ng tinuro natin at saan nila magagamit yon in their real life, in their everyday life, and in their career in the future. Para maging meaningful po yung experience ng pagkagamit nila ng module. Hindi po yung tipong, bigay mo yung module, okay, submit yung activities, tapos na. Hindi po. We should also process, make sense of the activities para makita natin saan sila nahirapan, ano yung natutunan nila, anong insights ang nakuha nila, para mas meaningful po yung learning. Next, apply activities. Ano po ibig sabihin ng apply activities? When we use a module, okay, when they learn a skill, we should always make it a point to ask them to do activities wherein they can apply what they have learned. Meaning to say, they learn the skills not for the sake of learning them, but they learn the skills because they can use it, okay, in their everyday transactions and activities. Example, writing an email, kanina ko pa po ginagamit. Pagkaturo mo ng how to write an email, an effective email, the apply activities is they should write a real email. They should send it to a real person, and they should expect a real response or reply from the addressee. Para maramdaman nila, ay, ganun pala yung totoong email. Ganun pala yung gamit talaga ng email. Nakuha niyo po yung point? Sige, apply activities. Unlike yung, okay, how to write an email. Okay, alam nila yung guidelines, natutunan, pinagawa mo sila ng sample. Tapos next lesson na kagad. Natutunan nila for a while. Kaya po ang learning ng student parang, ay okay, yung pala yung email. Tapos next lesson na, nakalimutan na ilaw nila ulit. Kasi hindi nila nagamit yung natutunan ng skill. At sa kanila, ang pakiramdam po ng estudyante, kaya ko lang natutunan yun kasi yun yung prescribed na competency. Pero wala namang paggagamitan. Kaya hindi siya masyadong meaningful, hindi nag-stay sa mga estudyante. Structure the learning experience, again, yung proseso, how would you incorporate the activities? Paano mo gagawing meaningful yung mga activities na idadagdag mo doon sa module na ginamit mo? Doon sa lesson na in-introduce mo, anong mga supplemental activities na i-introduce mo to make the learning more meaningful. Provide feedbacks. Okay? Ang feedbacks ay ito yung suggestions niya, yung comments natin. Hindi pwede na hindi tayo nagpo-provide ng feedback sa estudyante. Why? Because they might not know what they might not know whether they do it right. Tama ba? Gawa sila ng gawa. Ito submit sila ng submit, lalo na sa mga, submit sila ng submit, wala silang idea kung tama ba yung ginagawa nila. Nagawa ba nila ng maayos? Wala kasing comment or feedback sa teacher. So, always provide feedbacks to our students. Ako po ang lagi kong paalala sa mga education students ko, sa mga teacher education students ko, tsaka sa graduate school, huwag kayong magpapagawa ng activities or kahit ano na hindi nyo kayang mag-provide ng feedbacks. Bakit? Kasi ang pakiramdam ng estudyante, you just ask them to submit it for the sake of submitting it, na hindi mo talaga gustong matutunan nila yung skill na tinuturo mo ito. So always provide feedbacks. And finally, give support structure. Ano po ibig sabihin nito? Dito papasok po yung pagiging counselor, ang pastoral job ng teacher. Ano po yun? We would provide them some support. Hindi po yung hindi lang nakapag-submit ng isang activity sa deadline, rarapatin na natin yung bata, magagalit na tayo. Tanungin muna natin, kamusta pa ba sila? Ano ba yung, lalo na ngayon, ang dami pong mga students, mga teenagers, mga students natin, na nagpapakita ng mga alarming symptoms ng mental health problems. So, kasi sa pinagdadaanan natin, kahit walang masyadong mabigat na problema, yung makulong ka sa bahay ng masyadong matagal, that's something new and disturbing for all of us. So dapat tinatanong-tanong natin ng estudyante, kamusta ba sila, okay pa ba sila, paano ba yung software and so on. So that's what we mean by support. Gusto ko lang i-introduce sa inyo yung Cold's learning cycle. Magulo lang po yung PowerPoint ko. Sorry. So 4 na A yan, sabi ni David Cold. Si David Cold po, sabi niya, learning will only take place when an individual transforms active experience into information. Okay? Kailangan ma-transform yung experience into information. Meaning to say, may experience muna dapat para ma-transform mo into information and learning will take place. So for David Cold, ang learning ay dadaan lang sa 4 na A. Ano yon? Activity, analysis, abstraction, application. Ulitin po natin. Activity, analysis, abstraction, application. Activity, dapat gawin mo muna. Okay. Kahit anong skill po ito, kahit hindi sa tinuturo yung subject, kahit mga ordinary, normal skills na alam natin. Favorite ko nga po, sabi ni Sir Paul, yung riding a bicycle. Di ba? Skill yan. So how do we learn? How did we learn how to ride a bicycle? Did we read book on it? Perhaps. Okay? Did we attend the seminar how to ride a bicycle? Perhaps not. So we learn it by trying it, by doing it, di ba? Nagkaroon tayo ng bike. We rode on it. So sumakay tayo dito and we fell on it. We fell from it. Nahulog tayo, natumba tayo. So analysis 'yon. Anong a-analyze mo ba? Why did I fall? What went wrong? Okay? Abstraction is the aha moment. Masyadong malikot pala yung manibela ko. So, dapat hindi malikot. That's application. So, babalik ka ulit sa activity, you try it again. So, ganito magiging experience muna. Experience, you try it. Reflect what went wrong. Conceptualize, aha moment. And then you test it. Then, bumagsak ka ulit. Mabagal kasi yung pedal ko. You try it again. Okay? So, hanggang you learn it, you master it. So, from this paradigm, we could see that every master was once a disaster. Every master was once a disaster. Anong mahusay mong gawin sa ngayon bilang teacher? Nung una mong ginawa yan, sablay-sablay ka rin. Ganun din po yung mga students natin. Gusto mong matutunan nila yung skill? Sa una yan, sablay. Okay, dito papasok yung role ng teacher. Let them experience, let them do it, help them to reflect on it, help them to conceptualize and test it for them to master it, just like what we did when we are learning. Okay po? So, ganito yung preparing and using a module. Kung ang Gordon College ay magma-module. Sa start ng semester, tingnan nyo po, the modules are distributed, so printed by St. Andrew Publishing House. So, pamimigay po sa mga students yan. There should be a detailed course syllabus containing the break of topics to be covered. So, kailangan makita natin, week 1, anong mga goals, anong objectives? Week 2, anong kasunod? Week 3, explained yan. Objectives and learning outcomes specified. Malinaw sa mga estudyante. Ito na yung sinasabi natin kaninang guiding. Tama ba? No. Directing. Ito yung first part. Directing. You are directing the students sa simula ng semester pagbibigay mo sa kanila ng module. Next part, input and practice. Anong gagawin ngayon ni faculty? We will deliver lectures as supplemental, okay, online or recorded. Students complete the missing or verbal elements. By the way, nakalimutan ko sabihin kanina, yung verbal and visual elements, hindi po kompletong nilalagay lahat yan. There are some parts which are intentionally left blank for students to explore. So yun yung mga exercises na blanco, no? Yung mga students ang mag-fill them out. Part of learning yon as independent learners. Exercises and tasks with the help and guidance of the instructor. So sa part na ito, guiding na yung trabaho ni teacher. So sa simula is directing, then guiding na. Then towards the end, sa consolidation and assessment, dito na po papasok si teacher as monitoring. Diba? Magmo-monitor na siya. Yung role ng teacher is in monitoring. So emphasis is on active learning, may pair work, may group work, may role play, may class discussion. Students would demonstrate their learning for you to assess the learning outcomes. So yun po ang magiging flow ng preparing and using a module. That would be all. Thank you very much. I'll be waiting for your questions in a while. Now I'd like to turn you over to my friend Paul.
Thank you, Marlon, for that wonderful presentation. So hello, faculty members of Gordon College. I hope that you're doing well despite the situation that our country is facing right now. See, I was reminded by the book that I was reading by Adam Grant, which is titled Originals and How Nonconformists Changed the World. I don't know if you've read that book or heard of that book, but it's really a good read for everybody. It tells us that every day when we wake up, we see two things. First are the things that we love, and second are the things that we want to change. So the things that we love spark joy in us. So it makes us happy. However, the things that we want to change work a little differently. The things that we want to change are the things that we would like to make a difference of. We would like to improve. We would like to progress the situation than when we found them. However, though, the problem with this, the things that we want to change, changing them is difficult. If not, it's daunting. So what we do is, instead of changing them, what we do is we go back to the status quo. We go back to the way we normally deal with these things. Kasi yeah, it's daunting, it's challenging. However, there will be days when we ask ourselves, what can an individual do in order to improve the situation? And there will be days when we feel the bravest, and the question becomes, what can I do in order to make a difference? You see, the COVID-19 pandemic has challenged and disrupted our normal way of learning, the way we gather, the way we connect, the way we understand, the way we communicate. See, in this situation, in the normal way of uh, dealing with things, the normal way that we knew on how we conduct our classes, and how we teach our students, isn't quite possible yet. However, we must remind ourselves that in these trying times, we must never cease to learn. We must never stop learning. We must never let our students stop from learning. Solution? Well, probably online classes. See, online classes offers a great potential in this new way of learning. However, as teachers, as we have experienced, yeah, about 2 hours ago, we struggle staying online. We have issues, tayo na to, as teachers, we have issues staying online, staying connected to the internet. Therefore, if we ourselves are experiencing this problem, what more our students who may not have any access to the internet or may have limited connectivity and broadband? So, how do we solve this problem? We maximize blended instruction. How do we do that? By transitioning and making effective use of module writing. As my title of my presentation is We New Normal. How do we transition to the new normal through effective module writing? Marlon earlier discussed the overview, the historical backgrounds, and pedagogical concerns in relation to module writing. Now I will be zeroing in, okay? I'll be zeroing in on the actual parts of the module. How do we translate all of these theories that Marlon mentioned in the module? Now, these webinars are important as what said. Illiterate in the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So altogether, we must try to learn new things on how to adapt to these changes that's happening in the world. How do we unlearn what we normally are familiar with? How do we unlearn these things so that it will not hinder our mastery of the new skill? And then how do we relearn and fine tune, okay, and recalibrate the concepts that we already know in order for us to blend it well with these new ways, with this new instruction? Okay? That will be our topic for this presentation. Module as an instructional material that students can use in the absence of the teacher, and the feature of the module that is called self-directed design. That will be our topic for the day. How do we translate all the things that we know, all the things that we would like to know, all the things that we will learn further on how it's translated and married into the actual module writing? Okay? So again, let me zero in on the characteristic of the module, that it is used in the absence of the teacher. So we'll assume that the classes will not be on face-to-face level as of yet, and we are not going to wait for the vaccine. We have to let our students learn. Focusing on the module's characteristics, that this module could be there if the teacher cannot. Right? Now, the feature of the module that we are primarily concerned with is called the self-directed design. This feature promotes self-paced, self-contained, and self-directed learning. That means our job as writers and teachers is to properly pace the module, the lesson in the module, so that our students will not be confused with information overload. It is our job to properly pace the instruction in our module. How do we do that? By writing a very effective module. Self-contained, meaning our module must be like a Bible to the course or the subject. That means our students who have no internet connection, who cannot go to the library, who do not have any access to other resources, could be okay with the module that we wrote, with the module that we developed for them. And then finally, our job as writers, module writers, as teachers, is to make sure that that module is self-directed, meaning the students can learn on their own with minimal supervision. Meaning, the module is written in order to increase self-productivity. The module is written that is in a way that it will motivate the students. So it's self-paced, self-contained, self-directed. We could say that it's self-motivating, and it will increase self-productivity. Because an effective module increases productivity even with minimal supervision. Okay? Now, the content of the module, bear in mind, is always aligned with the target competencies prescribed by the curriculum. We're going to talk more about that later. But make sure that the module that you will be developing is aligned with the prescribed syllabus or curriculum from the department. One, I would like to present to you this instructional design framework for module writing. Now, Lloyd, if you will maximize the screen for instructional design framework there. What you will see on the two sides will be the key concepts and the syllabus. So these will act as your guideposts for module writing. First, if you're writing modules for the tertiary education, you have to be guided by Republic Act 7722 and other CHED memorandum orders that are relevant to module writing. For example, 46 2012 and 36 2017, which stipulates that the curriculum should be outcomes based. Okay? I know that you know how to develop your syllabus through outcomes based education, in which you have to incorporate the mission, vision, goals of the institution of Gordon College in your material. So you have to be properly guided by those principles. For the basic education, Gordon College writers, teachers, module writers, curriculum writers must be able to be familiar with RA 10533 or the revised, the Enhanced Basic Education Act. Also, you have to be familiar with other debit orders like debit order 8 for assessment, 42, 36. Okay, that's your guidepost in designing your module. The second guidepost will be your syllabus. We design modules that are always aligned with the syllabus. Therefore, you have to check the curriculum guide given by the Department of Education and incorporate, again, the mission, vision, and goals of your institution. If you check the curriculum guide of DepEd, you will see there the standards, content, performance standards, and then learning competencies. Now, if you will use your syllabus for the higher ed, of course, you have to be guided by your general and specific objectives. Now, you move forward to the center, which is the instructional design framework. Okay? Instructional design process at the center will have to be the steps that you will have to follow in order to design your module and to write your material. First, you do your research. What is it that I have to teach in this course? What are the topics that my classes, my students need to learn? So research will be in two ways. One, content. What will you teach? You are experts in your field. So I know that you know what your students need to learn. Also, you're guided by your syllabus and curriculum guide. Secondly, how will you teach them? Okay? So how will you teach them is concerned with the methodologies that you will include in the module. So two questions for research. First, will you teach content? And second, how will you teach the pedagogies? Second is planning. Now, plan. What will be the steps that you have to take? How will you design the material? What will be the format of the material? Okay? You do your planning. Diba nga, we have a saying that those who fail to plan, plan to fail. So this is the same way with our module writing. We have to do our planning. That means it will involve us to collaborate with our colleagues and the design of the material. How will it look like? What will be the parts? What will be the name of the elements? That will all fall under planning. Third will be development. Now that you know what to teach and you know how to teach them, and you already agreed upon the parts, now is the actual time to write. There's no shortcut in module writing. You have to write. Face that blank Word document with the blinking cursor and start writing. Or if you're old school, you could use your pen and paper and then start drafting. That will be the development. That's the most tedious part of any module writing or book development uh, portion or project. Okay. Next is evaluation. Once you have completed your material, okay, it's guided by the two concepts. You have to let your local academic council, probably your area chair, probably your academic affairs office, to evaluate the material. Okay, make sure that the contents are contains expert knowledge, that it followed the mission, vision, goals of the institution, that is aligned with the curriculum, that it is aligned with the pertinent laws that the module must follow. Okay? After that, you submit it to St. Andrew Publishing House, to the publisher, where it will be validated. Of course, some institution will have their own local validation because some higher educations have their own a book committee which is in charge of validating the material. In case you have your book committee in Gordon College, you could send your manuscript, the completed material, to St. Andrew Publishing House. And with the help of the proprietor, Dr. San Andres, that material will be validated. How? Dr. San Andres will ask the assistance of other experts in the field, probably from other universities like CLSU, BSU, UP, yeah, to validate and make sure that your material followed all the principles involving module writing. Then it will be produced, it will be printed, it will be distributed to you, and you could therefore distribute it to your students as well. Now, once we follow that process, it will lead us to the last part. We are going to be sure that our learning resources or modules are aligned with the curriculum, with the syllabus. It contains expert knowledge, expert systems of knowledge. It has integrative and multidisciplinary features and approach, and it has provision for reflective thinking and other essential features which had been discussed to you earlier in the first presentation. Again, if we follow this design framework, we are going to have a surefire way of telling that the module that we have is aligned, is effective, and it is properly QA'd. Okay? Merong parang seal of approval yung material natin pag sinunod natin itong proseso na to. Now, module will be sent to St. Andrew Publishing House. It will be laid out. Hindi na po trabaho ng mga writers ang mag-layout, no? Kasi we are curriculum writers. We develop materials based on the curriculum. Therefore, layout, yan, cover page, title page, copyright, this is the job of the publisher. Ito po yung gagawing tulong ng St. Andrew Publishing sa mga writers ng Gordon College, no? Your book will be reviewed. It will have its ISBN. It will be reviewed by the National Book Development Board. Ayan. Tapos i-layout na rin. May layout artist po ang St. Andrew Publishing House para seamless at smooth yung maging transition ng module. And some modules, if you notice the slide, it's divided into 4 parts. Depende sa topic. But we suggest na isang book na lang, isang module na lang yung maging final product para mas mabilis yung process at mas mura, no? It's cheaper that way than in 4 separate units. Okay? Parts and subparts of module design. First, you will have the usual. You will have the cover, the title page, the copyright page. Ayan, sagot na po ng St. Andrew lahat dyan. And then you will have table of contents. Okay, hindi na natin sinama kasi that's non-essential naman pagdating sa development phase. And then you could have your forward, dedication. Ayan, yung mga non-essential na po yan. Pwedeng sa susunod na lang yan pag na-develop na natin. But this one will start with the first element of the module, which is called the introduction. So the introduction answers the question, what is this module about and why it is relevant to the learners? The module is designed to be used in the absence of the teacher. So how will you achieve the self-directing, self-paced, self-motivating part or feature of the module? How will you motivate the students if you are not there? The answer is in the introduction. You have to be able to spark the interest of the students introduction pa lang. Okay? By telling them what this module is all about and why is this module, this lesson important for them. Okay? So how long will be the introduction? It's written in 1 to 3 paragraphs only. Hindi naman po kailangan maging nobela ang introduction natin. 1 to 3 paragraphs will do. Now, again, the introduction achieves the self-motivating, self-paced, self-directing feature by engaging the students and sparking their interest. You establish the importance of the material to your learners. Okay? Look at this example. This is lesson 1. This is an actual module. This is an e-book, an e-module from Simyo Inotech. Simyo Inotech means Southeast Asian Minister of Education, Innovation, and Technology. So this module for teachers is actually used in Southeast Asia. Look, you see the title, Learning to Know as a 21st Century Teacher. That is the title of lesson 1. And the introduction is named, and pinangalanan yung introduction. Pwede kasing hindi introduction lang ang ipangalan natin. The name of the introduction is, what is this lesson about? Okay. What is this lesson about? So this one, this paragraph establishes the importance of this lesson, this material to the learners, to the ones who will use the module. Also by providing an overview of the lesson. Okay. Now, how did the writer go about writing the introduction? Include a quotation. Okay. Quotation is okay. It doesn't violate any copyright law. If you want to include a quotation in your introduction, fine. Right. Here's another screenshot. This is from a senior high school module from the Department of Education, which I co-wrote. Lesson 4, Properties of a Well-Written Text. So the title of the lesson is Properties of a Well-Written Text. The name of the introduction, if you will notice, is in a word. Begin. Okay? Begin. And then it's written in 3 paragraphs. And observe the text. Observe the point of view that was used. You have experience writing of different kinds as a requirement. This may be easy, etc., etc. As you write, you might have encountered some difficulties along the way. Tapos yung dulo, the last sentence is, so, are you ready to write it right? What did you notice? The pronoun that is used in communicating to the learners is in the second person. Second person, you. Why is the pronoun you or the second person point of view used in module writing? Because we would like to establish an objectivity. Okay? An objectivity in between the teacher, writer, and the student who's using the module. By talking to them, in a casual but objective point of view, we are still enforcing an idea that this is a formal situation, that this is a learning context, that you are using this material not as a leisure, but as an academic selection, as an academic text, as an academic material. So we use the second person objective you in the introduction. Name your introduction in any way you like. Okay? At least sinasabi ko kanina, no, that you have to collaborate with your institution. Bakit? Kasi dapat yung element name nagkakasundo si institution. Dapat na-agree upon yan ni Gordon College. Bakit? Kasi pag lumabas si material at nakita ng ibang institution, nag-decide silang bilhin din at gamitin, i-adapt yung material. Pag nakita nila, okay, this element, Gordon College to. Okay. We are establishing a brand that is uniquely Gordon College in the element name pa lang. So, introduction could be named like begin. What is this lesson about? Your journey, take off, start, stage 1. What you have to know, panimula, primer. So, think of a name for the introduction that you believe is uniquely Gordon College, that exactly identifies with Gordon College, and then go with that. Okay? So, again, the introduction is there to engage the students, to tell the students why this lesson is important for them, so that we can achieve the self-motivating feature of module. We can also give the overview of the lesson in the introduction. It's written in 1 to 3 paragraphs. Or element is called, the next essential element is called objectives or competencies. Objectives and competencies are taken from the syllabus or curriculum guide. Okay? Pag Department of Education, pag Basic Ed curriculum guide, these competencies are non-negotiable, meaning we cannot do away with them. We have to target them in the material. We have to write exactly what is in the curriculum guide. Pag sa higher education, as what Marlon mentioned kanina, you have your own charter, you have your academic freedom. So you can break down further the objectives in order to suit the learners. Okay? You know what to teach. You design your own objectives and syllabus. Okay? But nonetheless, objectives, second element in the module writing, they are always taken from the syllabus or curriculum guide. Remember that the construction of a well-defined syllabus makes the development and management of an online, on-campus, or modular course much easier. So you always begin with your syllabus, the objectives or learning outcomes in your syllabus. This is a sample screenshot from Mindanao State University. Okay? These are the normal parts of our syllabus in the tertiary education. Okay? What do you notice? You notice that both face-to-face and online syllabi puts the instructor information. In module, magiging writer yan. Course description, lalabas yan sa forward. Course objectives, every lesson will have that. Course methodology, which will be translated into activities. Grading criteria, which will be translated into rubric. And then course policies that you agree upon in your institution could be written on the first part. Pwedeng kasama siya sa forward. So, ganyan mag-translate. Yung syllabus natin will act as a skeleton. Okay? And then, we will flesh our syllabus out in order to develop the material. Kaya yung mga module writers, mga textbook writers, hindi sila creative writers. They are curriculum writers. Kasi what we do is to flesh out the syllabus or the curriculum. Anong difference ng dalawa? Ang online course, okay, at modular course, at face-to-face course, face-to-face classes, The only difference will be methodology, grading criteria, and course policies. Bakit yun lang yung kakaiba? Kasi there will be activities in a modular class that will not be uh, possible. Oh, sorry, there will be activities in a physical face-to-face class that will not be possible in a modular class. Hindi talaga pwede masyado ngayon si group activity. Yung mga gustong-gusto natin na may mga role play, may mga skit na group work yung mga estudyante sa klase. Hindi pa siya pwede ngayon kasi the local IATF, regional, national IATF won't allow that. Diba nga, ang ruling nga, hanggang walang vaccine, walang face-to-face classes. So while we're waiting for that, we have to alter and vary our course methodology, our activities in the module. Okay? So the objectives will be there again. These address the enabling knowledge and skills to be developed and achieved. Okay? Objectives are also there because we want to show how learning competencies are broken down into objectives but still based on the curriculum guide. Ano yung ibig nating sabihin dyan sa word na yan? Broken down. Okay? Ang term natin dyan, sa DepEd, ang term namin, ang term ng Department of Education dyan ay unpacking. Unpacking of a competency. What do? We have two kinds kasi of objectives or learning outcomes in education. We have the first, we call it terminal goal. Yeah. Learning outcome, terminal goal. And then the second one is enabling. Okay, enabling goal. So terminal objective, enabling objective. Dalawa. So terminal objective is the final learning outcome. Sa syllabus, ito yung general objective. Okay? Now, the specific objective will be the enabling activity or enabling goal. Paano ba yung ginagawa sa terminal objective saka sa enabling objective? Masyado kasing komplikado si terminal objective. So, hindi siya ma-achieve ng mga estudyante ng ganun-ganun na lang. So, anong ginagawa? Following the concept of scaffolding by Vygotsky, we create enabling objectives to allow our learners to step-by-step achieve the skills necessary for the completion and mastery of the terminal objective. So anong ginagawa sa terminal objective? We break them down into small bits. Why? Because we would like to let our learners master the skills, the prerequisite skills necessary for mastering the terminal objective. Okay? That's why we include learning competencies in every lesson for our module. Because by including these competencies, these objectives, in every lesson, we clarify the expectations that we have for our students. Ano ba yung dapat yung malaman? Ano ba yung dapat yung maintindihan? At saka ano yung dapat yung magawa para mapakita na na-master nyo to? Diyan makikita yan sa learning competencies or objectives. Thus, we give subtasking. Okay? Thus, we unpack. Yan. Kaya nandyan yan. Para kita ng mga estudyante, what should they know, should they understand, and what should they be able to do in order to show mastery of the skill, competence, or objective. Tingnan po ito. Okay. This is an actual screenshot ng senior high school curriculum guide from the Department of Education. The subject matter is 21st century literature from the Philippines and the world. Okay. Ang napansin natin dito, we have standards, content standard, performance standard, learning competencies, and then codes. Codes will be there just for tracking. Content on your left shows the list of topics needed to be covered. Content standard is like a summary of all the contents on what they should know. Performance standard will be the evidence of learning. How will they demonstrate learning? And then learning competencies are the unpacked or the scaffolded skills in order to achieve content and performance standard. Now, minsan, mahirap pa rin or too complicated pa rin si learning competencies. What you could do as teacher, as writer, is to further break that learning competency down into objectives para mas madali na maintindihan. Yun yung tinutukoy ni Krashen okay? Yun yung I+1 hypothesis niya. You don't begin with where the learners are. You begin one step above where the learners are para makasampa sila sa next step and then akyat ka ulit ng level, akyat lang ng akyat hanggang ma-master yung skill. Okay? So, ganun po, ano? Pwede natin i-break down competencies na yan para mas madaling ma-master yung skill. Yan. If we will notice, ang learning competencies, madami. Okay? Madami po yan. What of education do in light of the COVID-19 pandemic? Well, shortened academic year is one of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Ang dami-daming competencies ng Department of Education. Anong ginawa nila? They identified the most essential learning competencies or the MELCs. Si Department of Education, across subjects, has a total of 14,171 competencies. Dahil umikli yung oras natin, yung academic year, number of days, the competencies in the Department of Education across all subjects was reduced by 60%. 1,171, it's down to 5,689. There's a 60% reduction in the competencies for the basic education written in the MELCs. Ayan. Ganun po kaunti yung reduction ng 60%. So why am I telling you this? Kasi if you're designing modules for the higher education, you might as well consider, of course, with the guidance of your academic council, reduce. You might consider reducing the number of objectives that you will have in the material. Kasi this is not a normal situation naman. This is a pandemic. So we have to understand then that our learners will be answering and learning from modules from all the other subjects. So baka ma-loaded naman sila kung sobrang dami at baka hindi rin naman masakop ng time frame kung lahat ng module ng topic natin, ng objective natin sa normal face-to-face class ay ilalagay natin ulit sa module. Okay? Identify the most essential learning competencies for DepEd. For example, ito sa English. English po kasi there are 3,120 okay, learning competencies from grade 1 to grade 10. Di ba nag-MELCs? So anong ginawa ng English sa basic education? From 3,120, it was down to 231. 3,120 to 231. That means there's a 93% reduction in the English learning competencies. So you might ask me, okay? You might ask me now, how did the Bureau of Curriculum Development identify these MELCs for English? What did they use? Okay, the answer is this. They use the endurance criterion as the sole determiner for identifying the most essential learning competencies. Okay, what's the endurance criterion? The endurance criterion believes that the learning competencies in English, okay, the learning competencies in English must be the ones that are useful in lifelong learning. Okay? And that the English curricula should recognize the importance of English in a sense that it will provide skills in achieving literacy and oracy skills in order to acquire content knowledge in other learning areas like science and math. Okay. Ano ulit yun? The MELCs for English were selected based on the principle of lifelong learning, that these skills will be the ones that will help achieving mastery in content knowledge for sciences and mathematics. Yun yung lifelong learning part ng nangyari sa English MELCs. Kaya if you notice this slide, Tingnan niyo po. Employ a variety of strategies for effective interpersonal communication. Yan yung MELC for grade 7, quarter 4. Tapos, yung mga learning competencies that were subsumed, what's the word? Subsumed by this MELC are those learning competencies. Yan. So, yung MELC, parang naging umbrella siya. Okay? Parang naging umbrella that subsumes the other learning competencies. Because these other competencies could be clustered together, okay, for the MELC. So, na-achieve pa rin yung integration. Yan yung mga technique na pwede natin pag-usapan when you decide which objectives will be preserved for the module and which should be subsumed by these objectives. Okay? So, clustering, yan, essential. Kaya pag inisip natin yan, parang yung MELC sa basic education ay naging ano na lang, naging dahil sa MELC sa basic education ng English, ang English ay parang naging English for academic purpose na lang. So, ganun yung nangyari for English. Sample screenshot for competencies or objectives. What will you learn? Ayan, sa Semyo Inotech po ulit to, ano? Kanina in the introduction, the title is, what is this about? Ngayon naman, sa objectives or competencies, ang element name nila, what will you learn? Kung mapapansin nyo, ano yung ginamit na type? Interrogative, no? Interrogative sentence type yung ginamit. So, ibig sabihin, lahat ng elements ng Semyo Inotech, malamang, makikita nyo mamaya, naka-interrogative sentence type. Okay? At the end of the module, you should be able to, and then list down the objectives. Ito naman yung sa senior high school, reading and writing. At the end of this module, you should be able to, ay, ganun din, list down the objectives or competencies. Yan. You can rename objectives and competencies. Like, name it, will you learn? Objectives, you could name it your learning objectives, you could name it learning competencies, targets, KSAVs, what you should know, if in Filipino, pamantayang pangnilalaman, and then pamantayan sa pagganap. So, again, ulitin ko, ano, yung element name depende sa institution. Kung ano yung magpapakita ng uniquely Gordon College, you go for it. Essential element number 3 is the pretest. The pretest is designed to assess the learner's entry-level knowledge of the topic. Okay, this could be done in a variety of forms. Kahit pwedeng multiple choice type, pwedeng essay type, pwedeng checklist lang. As long as you gauge, you have a basis for gauging the base level knowledge or entry level knowledge of the students. Remember lang that the pretest should be congruent with the objectives. Okay? Congruent with the objectives or competencies to be developed. Otherwise, bakit nag-pretest ka pa? Diba? The pretest kasi is there to check ano na ba alam ng mga estudyante. So, ba't yung pretest natin align sa objectives of the lesson. Okay? So, natin to. This is from Semyo Inotech. What do you already know? And then, ano yung meron sa kanya? Supply type. For example, number 1, identification. Okay? Identification. Number 1, identify at least 3 attributes 21st century education. Supply type. Pangalawa, as teachers, why is it important? So, ganun ulit. So, pwedeng ganyan yung ating pretest. Second, with this, ito yung sa senior high school. Ano naman to? Objective type, multiplication. Multiplication, sorry. It's multiple choice. Nalilito ako ng mga chikiting na nagtatanong kung ano-anong bagay. So, try this for the senior high school. It's a multiple choice type of test. So, pwede yung ganyan. Tapos, magde-decide lang kayo kung standard ba yung format. Like, for example, lahat ba ng pretest natin? Multiple choice type? O supply type ba? Pwede kasing gano'n. Pwedeng i-vary din. Basta wag naman sobrang lala or sobrang haba nung magiging pretest natin na parang nasaid na or naubos na yung brain cells. No? Pag-gauge natin, na-over-gauge naman tayo. Ito situational. Tapos, read a short essay on the next page. Meron siyang lalagay na situation, tapos sagot ulit. So, pwedeng ganyan. Depende po sa agreement nyo at depende sa need ng subject na gagawa nyo. The pretest, writers could also opt to include a self-rating checklist. Parang ganito lang yan. This one is easy. All you have to do is write the competency on the left. Okay? Tapos, ayun na, diagnostic in nature. Sine-check na natin. Self-diagnosis. Parang si estudyante, ano ba? Ito bang competency na to? From my previous grade levels, asa na kaya ako dito? Novice, apprentice, practitioner, expert. And then pre and post before the lesson, asan ako? After the lesson, nasa na ako? Ganun lang po itong self-rating competency checklist. Again, pinakamahalaga for the pretest, it should be congruent with the lesson. Because you need correct data. You need the pretest to give you a data on what to focus on further in the lesson. Okay? This is the fourth essential part, no? Para sa akin, this is the meat of the module in lesson proper or course methodology. The course methodology refers to how the class approaches student learning. How does your module, how do you as a writer teacher approach the students' learning? Paano mo ba tingnan ang pagkatuto ng estudyante? Ayan, kaya mahalagang binalikan ni Sir Marlon kanina yung mga foundations of education natin, yung theories of learning natin. Because this will be reflected on the lesson proper course methodology sa inyo as a writer or as a teacher dun sa module, no? So ano ba yung ginagamit natin sa lesson proper or course methodology? Okay. Ngayon po, ang trend talaga, the trend in the book writing, book publishing industry is to follow Kolb's experiential learning cycle or the 4A's model, which is broken down into 4: activity, analysis, abstraction, and application. We're going to take it one by one, and of course, I will be presenting examples for each. First one is activity. So after introducing, sparking the interest, igniting the interest in your students, motivating them, that's in your introduction. After showing them the competencies on what they should know, understand, and be able to do, okay, the next thing that they have to see, okay, si pretest kasi pwedeng hindi kagad kasunod, pwedeng mas mauna pa sa introduction eh. So, the next important thing that they have to see is an activity. Okay? Tama po yun, ano? Activity. Hindi input kaagad. Okay? The thing that they have to do is to, for you as a writer, the thing that you have to do is to provide concrete experience and not give theoretical knowledge immediately. At this stage, you as writers, we as teachers and writers, we create opportunity for valuable and memorable personal experience. Ulitin ko po. Valuable and memorable personal experience. Kasi the Kolb's theory, experiential learning cycle or 4A's model, believes that learning is best when it is experienced. Okay? Therefore, we have to provide them with concrete experience, personal and memorable experience. Paano natin gagawin yun? Pwedeng problem solving, pwedeng exercises. Ayan. Bakit mahalaga yun? We have them, we lead them to the activity to search for prior knowledge, prior experiences. Yan yung activating the schema part na tinutukoy na kailangan yung previous knowledge nila from all those years ma-activate natin, ma-tap natin. Okay? Yung experience, andragogy, yung pinag-uusapan dito sa activity part. Kaya wala mo ng input, gisingin mo muna as writer, as teachers, kung ano yung alam na nila. I-check muna natin kung ano yung alam na nila. Now, look at this activity. It's titled, Do This. Notice the illustration. Ito yung visual element. Yung drawing. Kanina nakita niyo na rin yan sa introduction, sa competency, sa objective. Sa introduction, no? May mga illustration tayo, yung visual element. Okay? Ano yung visual element? Yun yung clue na magpapaalala. These are the visual cues that will remind the students that this is a class. Kaya yung mga illustration po natin dyan, malamang sa malamang, ilalagay nyo yung mga teacher, ayan, yung classroom setting, yung estudyante. Now, tingnan natin itong activity part na to. Ang visual element na nilagay ay si Sir. Tapos you will see a double quotation mark. Bakit ganon? It's a visual cue that says that this is the teacher talking. Okay? This is the teacher talking. Look, what did the teacher say? The first part of your module will not only test your prior knowledge, but will also introduce you to the next lesson. Happy working. So, ayan na, verbal element, visual element, para mapapanatili natin yung paradigm na ito ay ayan, sorry, my connection got lost. Okay. All right, I think I'm back. Lloyd, am I back, Lloyd? Yes, okay, I'm back. All right. Right. So do this activity part. You see the visual element, the teacher si Sir, tapos yung visual, yung verbal element na yung dialogue niya. Kaya may double quotation mark doon. Look at the activity. Sort it out. Walang tinuro si teacher. Ang pinagawa lang niya, nag-sort out ng mga words. Tapos kakategorize ng estudyante. Formal, informal, tapos explanation. So wala pang tinuturo. Nag-activity lang. It's a search ng estudyante. The student will just search for prior knowledge and experience. Ito pa, pwede rin ganito. For English, what will they do? They will rewrite the sentences. They will rewrite the sentences. Make them better. Identify, remove redundancies, cliche, wordiness, highfalutin words. Bakit may ganito? This provides feedback for us as teachers, as writers, para pagka sa consultation part, nakita natin, oh, dito pala hirap sa redundancies yung estudyante. We can focus more on that topic. Okay? Now, basis po ba for grading yung mga scores nila dito? The answer is no. This is formative assessment in nature. So, naka-formative assessment meaning it provides assessment as learning and assessment for learning. Assessment as learning, we assess them through tasks, through activities. Para makita natin kung nasa na sila. Ano yun? Nasa na ba? Okay, saan tayo mag-focus? And then assessment for learning sa mga estudyante. Para nababalikan nila yung mga lesson nila dati. Okay? So, activity part develops a common base for the discussion that follows, again, by gauging what they already know. Okay? By gauging what they already know, what they already understand, and to clarify what the students should know further pa. Okay. Again, we provide not theoretical knowledge, we provide meaningful, personal, and memorable experience in the activity. Also, term can be personalized nga, tulad nung kanina sa introduction at saka sa competencies. Next A is called the analysis. This is the taking time out from doing and stepping back from the task and reviewing what has been done and experienced. So, may activity. Si analysis part, what we do is we examine the experience. We now examine yung pinagdaanan. Yung analogy ni Marlon kanina ng pagbabike. Sasakay ka sa bike, kahit anong basa mo kung paano magbike, if you don't ride a bike, you will not learn how to do it. Now, sumakay ka, hindi ka nagtagumpay. Now, in the analysis stage, we examine the experience. We now reflect and analyze what has happened. Okay? By letting our students analyze the experience, we let them share their beliefs. We let them share their perceptions. And then we could ask them to clarify their reasons for learning. We could provide a simple question and answer sa analysis part. Kaya nga at this stage, lots of questions are asked and communication channels are open. And now you might ask me, paano magiging open e modular to? Hindi naman tayo naka-online class, pwedeng magtanong si estudyante or magtaas ng kamay. How does this translate to module writing? Ganito lang simple, no? Tulad nito, this is analysis part. Stop and reflect. Na, anong napansin nyo? Questions. Okay? Questions lang. You ask for observations. Tanongin nyo, hingan nyo lang ng feedback. You could ask the participants to give feedback. Okay? So, pwedeng ganyan lang yun. Okay? So, ganyan or ganito. Ayan. Lumabas na naman si visual cue na si teacher. Dalawa na ngayon, no? Si ma'am at sir. Tapos, ayun pa rin si double quotation mark. Tapos, ayun yung verbal element. Tapos, tingnan nyo po yung pinagawa for the analysis. Oh. The activities above made me remember. Now, examine the experience. It made me think and realize that. O ano yan? Observation, beliefs. Tapos, I therefore commit to. Clarify the reason for learning. Commitment building. By providing a little part, kung titingnan natin, parang wala naman, no? Parang hindi naman masyadong mabigat para sa estudyante to. Totoo po yun. The purpose of the analysis stage kay Kolb is to really dig deep. Okay? Tingnan mo ng mas malalim kung ano yung nangyari para makausad ka ng mas maganda sa mamaya. Okay? So, pwedeng learning log yan, diary yan. Yung analysis part. Ang mahalaga kasi, examine the experience. Okay? That's the second A. Third A, it's called the abstraction. This is the process of making sense of what has happened. It involves interpreting the events and understanding the relationship between them. Very briefly, yung tatlong naka-underline, the students will make sense of what has happened. May experience kanina, inanalyze nila kung bakit nagkaganon at kung paano sila uusad further. Now, they can make sense of what has happened. How? Because in this part, in the abstraction part, we, as teachers and writers, we now present the models. We now give the theories. We now give facts. Etong mga models, theories, facts, this will help them interpret what has happened because these three, facts, models, theories, expert knowledge, o ayan, lahat ng input na yan, it will widen the concept of what the students already know. It will deepen the connection of what they should know more and what the experts have found. Kaya sa input part, sa abstraction part, ito na talaga yung pinakalaman ng lesson proper, ng course methodology natin. Bibigay na natin kung ano ba yung nalaman ng mga experts tungkol dun sa subject na yon para ipagtatama. Okay? Pagbabanggain ni estudyante yung nalaman niya dati, yung analysis niya, at yung alam ng experts para lumalim at lumawak yung alam ng mga estudyante. And keep this in mind. Yun yung pangalan ng abstraction niya. The element name is keep this in mind. So you see the visual cues, verbal cues is there, and then write the input. Yan yung mga expert knowledge na nakita natin because we know that. We teach that in the class. Okay. Pwedeng ganyan. Merong summary, merong tables, merong graphs. Okay? Tapos, if you notice merong task, let's organize. Choice nyo po yan, no? If you want or the activity after all the inputs, it's okay. Ang advice lang namin is do not include so much of an input and then assess after. Kasi mahihirapan sa estudyante. Okay? If the input is too much, saka ka palang nag-assessment, baka mahirapan sa estudyante kasi mag-overload na. So what we do, what we suggest is to embed assessment. Okay? Yan pong task 4 na yan is an embedded assessment. Naka-embed siya in between inputs para mabilis yung feedbacking. Para nakikita ka agad during consultation time, okay, sa lesson na to, dito nahirapan si estudyante A. Kita ka agad. Okay? So, in this part, tulad ng let's start naman for the Semio Innotech, again, you reinforce what the learners already know and what they should know more. Ulitin ko po, sa abstraction, the inputs on key concepts, yung lesson natin, yung mahalagang part on what they should know, we should deepen them, we should discuss them, we should clarify them, and if possible, let's analyze them. Okay? So, ayan. Ano yung mga video? Pwede ba kaming maglagay ng video sa abstraction part para mas deepened? Sir, kasi mas maganda pag may video, interactive, di ba? Pwede po ba yun? Yes, that's possible. You could include videos taken from YouTube. All you have to do is take a screenshot of the video, copy the link. Paano mapanood ng estudyante in naka-module? Well, they have to go to their devices, type in yung title, tapos yung link. Okay, para mapanood nila. Kasi nga, ang daming ganyan eh. Nagtanong na sa amin nun, from Negros, from Tacloban, sir, paano po yung mga nursing students? Paano po yung chemistry class? Paano po yung sa mechanical subjects, engineering subjects na kailangan may machine? Paano natin i-account yun sa module writing? Well, if face-to-face classes is still not allowed, wala talaga magagawa. So the next best thing is for you to include the video para familiar sila sa itsura. Para pagbalik nila at pwede na yung face-to-face classes, familiar na sila. Meron na silang good grasp of what it looks like. Pero the important thing is for you to have a processing activity for the video. You cannot just let your students watch. Hindi po pwede, manunood lang sila tapos wala silang ginagawa. You should have a processing activity for the videos. Okay? Ulitin ko lang, no? In the abstraction part, we deepen, discuss, clarify, and if possible, summarize. Okay? The theories, the facts, the expert systems of knowledge, so that we can deepen what they know and what the experts have found. Okay. Yan, pwedeng ganyan. Lalabas na yung mga diagrams and charts. Yan. Yun. Part, we are going to, hindi natin maiwasan to. We are going to touch an issue that is societal in nature. Okay? That means we are going to have to face discussing social contents. At alam naman natin, if it's a social content, it's divisive. Some of these are divisive and that people have different beliefs on this social content. So as writers, ano yung duty natin? What will be our duty regarding these social contents? How do we treat this social content? Well, first, we have to have a picture. Sino ba yung babasa ng module? Who will be the ones using the material? Okay? Now, we know that it's our students, but we have a clear picture of who these students are. Okay? So, we have to have a model of these characteristics. At ito yon. We believe that the Filipino learner is multifaceted. Right? They are multifaceted individuals, meaning hindi sila isang intelligence lang. Hindi sila isang set of interests lang. If they're multifaceted individuals with different intelligences and different interests and different ways of learning, therefore, our material, our module should be able to cater to all of these characteristics. Kaya we have provisions for multiple intelligences. We have provisions for differentiated instruction. We have to have provisions for alternative activities. Kasi kung meron kang online activity, dapat may provision ka for an alternate activity para sa mga learners who are offline. Okay? Yun po yung task natin. Consideration po natin yun as module writers. Now, we have to let them be respectful. Okay? Ang learner na kinikater natin respectful. So we have to foster respect as well. They are diverse. They come from different backgrounds. So respect that. They are reflective, critical thinkers, curious, and creative. Therefore, our modules must have provisions to allow our students to reflect, to show their curiosity and creativity, and to develop critical thinking. Sabi nga po ng mga researchers ngayon, no, ang information nandyan na lahat sa internet. The access to information is as easy as a snap. The only difference and difficulty is how will these learners develop critical thinking. Yan na daw yung nagkukulangan tayo, kaya ang daming naniniwala sa fake news. Kasi akala nila, porkit nakita nila sa internet, sa Facebook, akala nila totoo na. So kailangan yung module natin, it develops critical thinking for our students. Now, we show the Filipino nation and Philippine society. In the module that we were writing, we have to be lawful and obedient to the Constitution. Kailangan we follow the law of the land, the Constitution. Okay? Prioritize local concept. If there is local concept, a pride of Gordon College, of Angeles, of Pampanga, as much as possible, foster them. Celebrate that in your material. Prioritize local concept. Module will be used probably by other people from other regions. So why not highlight what is Kapampangan? Right? Ang daming cultural treasures ng Pampanga. So highlight that. You have to value indigenous people's craft. Okay? Indigenous people din. Ayan. So anong kultura meron sa kanila? Okay? Sa lahi na to. Anong meron na pwede nating i-celebrate? Lagay natin sa material. By showing who we are, who we uniquely are, we are being patriotic and nationalistic, but we're also being globally competitive na ito yung meron kami, these are local treasures. So we respect this, we celebrate this, and then these could be globally competitive, di ba? Kunyari lang yung sisig, no? Si Anthony Bourdain na celebrated food expert. Tuwan-tuwa siya sa sisig. Okay? So, celebrate natin, lagay natin sa material, thereby fostering the idea that we're globally competitive. And then, symbols, no? So, the law of the Heraldic Act, Republic Act, I think that's 9477 or 7497, something like that. Let me double check on that later. But Heraldic Act tells that we cannot. Okay. I received the text. I'm disconnected daw. Am I disconnected? Lloyd, am I disconnected or am I online? Okay na daw. Ayan. So again, Heraldic Act. We should follow the Heraldic Act and not be disrespectful of our national symbols. We should foster social responsibility by expressing that we are dependable but not over-dependent. We respect human rights. We are behaving at all times. Inclusive, accepting, understanding. We respect religion, personal beliefs, diversity. We avoid violence and depiction of the bad, and we avoid rationalizing crime, violence, etc. So our material, kahit na po tayo ay conservative Christian, okay, or meron tayong mga pinaniniwalaan na malapit sa ating mga puso, in the module, we should foster respect for all beliefs, religious beliefs. LGBT community, the rights for all gender equality. Ayan, dapat may provision yung module natin to foster gender equality. Kaya meron po tayong mga God seminars, no? Gender and development, para maging equal yung treatment sa lahat. Okay? Full of individuality, does not highlight stereotype and not sexist. Kaya okay lang. Let's foster in our module. Pwede yan. It's okay for you not to conform. Don't be afraid to be different. Okay lang yan as long as it's for the good. The common good, no? Stereotypes and sexism. Iwasan natin sa module natin yan. These are books for children. Ang gara, no? If you notice that. Boys are doctors, girls are nurses. Boys fix things. Girls need things fixed. So, naging inferior na yung isang gender, isang sex kumpara dun sa isa. Hindi tayo dapat yung nagpe-peddle ng mga ganyang idea. We should not peddle these kinds of idea. Respectful of different family patterns, promote responsible parenthood, does not judge religious practices, present public servants in a good light, ayan, kahit nagmanyanita, no, kahit bawal, shows justice, equality at work, does not value brands. So, kung tayo ay lumaki dun sa mga illustration sa material natin kung saan ang pamilya ay laging nanay, tatay, ate, kuya, tas bunso, ngayon po hindi na ganun yung trend, no? We are respectful of all family patterns. So, pwedeng iba-iba, hindi solely, hindi exclusively puro yung nanay, tatay, ate, kuya, bunso. Pwedeng iba-iba yung ilagay natin sa material natin. When we touch religious practices, respect them, and avoid brands. Unless talagang in-sponsoran kayo ni McDonald's para sa printing ng yung modules, pwede nyo siyang ilagay. May memorandum of agreement doon. But other than that, do not include commercial brands in your ethical practice. Yan, no fake news. Okay. Yung mga censorship, yan, iwasan natin yan. Attitude towards ICT, and public sharing. So, avoid copying and pasting materials from the internet without acknowledging the source. Ayan, bawal po yan, no? Let's use the APA manual for the citation. Tapos, pwede namang email natin yung mismong writer ng article. Pag nakakita ka ng isang or selection sa internet, normally sa website, makikita nyo sa bandang baba yung contact us. You can email the creator of that material. They will reply. Okay? From experience mo, they reply. Kunyari sabihin niya, we have a project for education. We're doing this module for our students because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We are unable to have a face-to-face class. Can I use the material you have from this website in my material? Ayan, pumapayag po sila. So, email them. Anyway, St. Andrew Publishing naman has an app called Turnitin. So, makikita ng St. Andrew which part should be fine-tuned, edited, revised para maiwasan natin yung copyright infringement. Okay. For the environment, positive treatment for all human life forms then, of all life forms. Sustainability, climate change. Ayan. To touch the issue of environment, we should be on the side of preserving the environment at helping the environment because we only have one planet nga. Okay? So, kailangan doon tayo sa good side. Man, kailangan we promote proper nutrition, mental well-being, physical and mental well-being. We are disaster ready, so concepts like National Disaster Risk Reduction and DRR, concepts like that, pwede natin i-embed sa ating module. Discourage gateway and illegal drugs, so bawal tayong mag-promote ng drugs, syempre, in any way. Kailangan ipakita natin that students, you should avoid these, what they call this, products, if you could call it a product, no? Vices, and iwas tayo dyan. And if ever we have delicate subjects, what approach should we use? We use concepts-based approach. Yung concepts-based approach, comprehensive sexual education. Ayan, ang init ng topic na to, no? Lumabas to na magkakaroon ng subject for the basic ed senior high school ng comprehensive sexuality education. Parang iniisip ng mga parents, ano ba yan? Bakit i-discuss? So why should this subject be in my high school child? Di ba, delikado yan? Kasi parang, what are you going to discuss? Akala lang, di-discuss is promiscuity and being sexually active. Hindi po ganun, no? It's concepts-based. Whenever you're facing a delicate subject, it should always be concepts-based. So concepts-based is an approach in curriculum design wherein the writer and the teacher moves away, okay, moves away from content-specific subject and instead focus on the big ideas. Ang focus nito, how will this subject, itong comprehensive sexual education, how will this subject span across content areas? Kaya itong comprehensive sexual education, i-discuss siya in relation to mental health, to consent, to relationship, reproductive health, ayan, body image, empowerment. Ganon yung pag-discuss pagka-delicate subject. Hindi mo i-discuss specifically sa mga content na isa-isa, kundi how will this subject affect all the other fields. Right? So, expect natin sa comprehensive sex ed, how will this affect the health of the students? How will this affect the economics? Right? The economic standing of the students. Ganyan pag-discuss sa kanya. Okay. Ulitin ko lang, we deepen what the students know by providing them expert systems of knowledge. We discuss models, theories. We clarify through our assessment what they already know and what they should know more. And then, we can add a summary, a conclusion, a generalization. So ito ay suggestion na lang. If you opt not to have a sum up, okay lang po. Kung feeling nyo yung mga assessment yung naka-embed sa abstraction ay sapat na, okay, let's not do this anymore. Let's not include summary anymore. Kung gusto niyo yung estudyante mag-summarize, okay lang yan. Maglagay ka lang ng parang summary, ng isang question doon na, can you identify the following? That's ganun. Can you have a one word for each? Ayan, pwede na yun. Okay. As A na po tayo, which is application. So application is the transfer the skills, knowledge gained from the lesson into real-life concern. So the application is the practical way of how learners show evidence of learning through a designed activity that moves away from the topic. Sorry, my bunso just went here at may tinatanong. Okay? So, sa application, transfer of learning from kanina sa abstraction, yung mga embedded assessment na nakakulong lang doon sa topic. Itong application, transfer of learning into real life activities and concerns. Okay. Tingnan niyo po ito. Simple lang, no? Apply what you have learned. Yun yung title ng kanilang application. Okay. Kita natin parang identification lang. Yes, that could kasi from simple to complex itong application, yung transfer. So, pwedeng identification sa una, tapos pagdating mamaya sa apply what you have learned, ayan, improving a paragraph na. So, you have a paragraph and then the student's job is to improve that paragraph. Okay? So, how will they use what you taught them in the abstraction on how to improve a paragraph on their own na? So, hindi na nakakulong dun lang sa topic na yon. It's an evidence of learning kung paano nila i-apply yung natutunan nila in actual, real-life situations and activities. Pwede rin ganito. Yung instruction dito, work with your group pa. Pero pwedeng hindi naman work with your group. Pwedeng sarili lang. Okay? Ito, ang product is to this one, so I'm back. Ayan, nawala ulit ako. The product is to make a PowerPoint presentation based on a research. So, pwedeng ganito. Okay? Yung gagawin nila. Actual real life. Kasi may questionnaire. Yan, naka-scaffold na yan. Kasi yung questionnaire, ginawa kanina. Okay? So, about GP drivers. Tapos may follow-up question. Tapos gagawa ng PowerPoint. Tapos ipe-present. So, pwedeng yung presentation, pwedeng online, o kaya pwede rin isa-send yung presentation, yung PowerPoint presentation kay San, kay Ma'am at Sir, yan. O depende po sa mode na napag-usapan at napag-agrihan ng inyong institution. Anong mapapansin natin sa application part? Merong rubric. Okay. So this is an assessment rubric for PowerPoint presentation. Yan yung criteria for rating. how are we going to create? Okay? How are we going to create uh, the criteria for rating? How will our rubric, how will our students use the rubric in order to achieve the application? Okay? Yung rubric kasi mahalagang nandun sa kayong criteria so that our students know how they will succeed on the activity. Okay? This is an application, an activity for the application using grasps. Okay? Ano ba yung grasp? Okay? McTighe and Wiggins, 2010, developed grasp because this is a very good form of assessment. Okay? Ang title niya, Mythic Job Search na naka-grasp. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng grasp? Goal, role, audience, situation, product performance, at saka standards. Now, pwedeng hindi nakaganto. Pwedeng yung normal lang to eh. Kasi ang hinihingi lang po nitong assessment na to ay magsulat ng application letter. Okay? Application letter. Pwedeng hindi nakaganto eh. Kasi itong grasp, nakaparagraph siya. Pwedeng ang sabihin lang ni teacher, ni writer ay, submit an application letter. Tapos na. Tapos lalagay lang criteria for judging content, ayan, grammar, mechanics, pwedeng ganun eh. Pero grasp, goal, role, audience, situation, product performance standard for grading, naka-paragraph, mas maganda. Kasi it sets the parameters on what you expect your students to do. Ulitin ko po, you set the parameters on the product that your students must be able to do. Tingnan niyo po yung gagawin dito. The task is to select an epic hero from the literature we have read. So, unang gagawin estudyante, pili ng hero. Pinag-aralan nila. So, sinong gusto nila doon? Go. What will they do? Write a letter in which they apply for a job as a crew member. So, automatically, you give what they are applying for. Crew member. In the letter, you must be specific about the position. Okay? Qualifications that you have. Make sure that your letter is persuasive. Making it clear that you understand the struggles na ginawa na ng mga hero and how you will be of value to them. Write in business letter form, include a resume. Ano yung goal? Write a letter. Ano yung role that the students assume? The role that they assume is that they're applicants. Kanino? Sino yung audience? Sino yung A ng grasp? Yung hero. Hindi si teacher. So, nagsuot ka ng hat. No? Si estudyante na gumagawa ng letter, may hat siya. Katulad nung sinabi ni De Bono. They have a hat. They are applicants. They're not students anymore. They are applicants. Tapos yung audience, ikaw yun. As teacher, you also have a hat. Hindi ka na teacher. As reading the letter, the application letter, ang sombrero na nasuot mo ay superhero. Ikaw yung tatanggap. So that's the audience. What's the situation? They're applying for a job. What's the product or the performance? The product is for them to submit an application letter in a business letter form. Include a resume. What's the standard for grading? They should be persuasive. So mas madali po ito para sa ating mga guro kasi alam na natin kung ano yung hahanapin natin, alam na natin kung ano yung gusto nating makita, at alam na ng estudyante kung paano sila magtatagumpay with the job. Right? Instead of saying, submit an application letter. Kasi ang gulo-gulo, no? Kasi iba-iba yung ina-applyan. Hindi nila alam kung ano ba yung a-applyan nila. Eto, nakakulong ka na. Nakaparameter na. Meron na kagad silang alam kung hanggang saan ba sila pwedeng mag-operate. So, we suggest for the application, at least per unit, no, to be in a grasp form of assessment. Again, grasp stand for goal, role, audience, situation, product performance, and then the standard for grading. Non-essential to, no? If you opt lang, if your institution would like to have a reflection part, pwede. It's a learning insight, reflection, think about it. Opportunity for learners to reflect on and assess the skills. How is this different from analysis kanina? In the analysis sa 4A's ni Kolb, you only analyze the activity, the experience. Etong reflection na to, you analyze the entire lesson. Bibigyan mo ng estudyante ng way to analyze the entire lesson. Bakit? Kasi we want to gauge, yeah, to gauge how well they have improved. Parang pwedeng ganito lang yan. Diba? Ayan. So, pwede rin ganito. About this. Ayan. Write your insights. Tapos, pwede rin ganyan. 4 pillars of learning. Check 4x lang. Okay? Meron kang topics, competencies, tapos babasahin ulit ng estudyante. I think I'm good at this. Okay, after the lesson. Yan. Pwedeng ganyan. So, it's just a way as validation din sa estudyante sa sarili niya, ano, self-validation. Okay, I'm good at this. Okay, this one I'm a little weak. Ganon. Now, another essential element, element number 6, is post-test. You can name it, assess what you have learned if you like. Like the pre-test, it should be congruent to the lesson or competencies. The general rule, the golden rule in post-test is never test what you did not teach. Never test what you did not teach. Huwag po tayong gumawa ng exam na hindi naman pala part ng tinuro natin. Otherwise, it's pointless. Gusto mo lang bang bumagsak yung estudyante, kaya ka gumawa ng exam na hindi mo naman tinuro. So, hindi ganun, no? So, the post-test should serve as evidence na talaga na-maximize nila, na-achieve nila at na-master nila yung mga learning competencies. Because the post-test determines whether learning objectives were met. So, paano gagawin sa post-test? It should be parallel to the test in the lesson para kita mo talaga kung nag-gauge, okay, at nag-gain nila yung dapat nilang makuha. Okay? In any form ulit, varied in form, like this. Pag math, ayan, ayun ulit si teacher na visual element. Tapos, pwede rin ganito ulit, objective type, multiple choice type. Ayan. Other parts for the module, suggested reading, websites, glossary, answer key, references. And pwedeng, yung references, no, habang nagsusulat po tayo, when we use references, ilagay na natin sa separate document para mas madali yung annotation, mas madaling i-compile. Okay? Yung answer key, pwedeng nasa module, pwedeng wala. Kasi if Gordon College will decide to have a consultation period, kunyari weekly, may isang klase ka, meron ka isang group chat, no, para sa section na yon for consultation, pwedeng yun yung gawin checking na rin. Okay? Tapos yan, suggested reading, websites, glossary, references. Now, I would like to give you the following pro tips para mas makatulong. If ever your institution allows you to have colors for your modules, make sure to stick to few colors. 2 to 3 colors lang po. Again, 2 to 3 colors lang. Bakit? Mas makulay na module, mas mahal. Also, remember who your clients are. Pag elementary, mas makulay ang libro, kaya mas mahal ang libro ng mga bata. High school, medyo hindi na kailangan masyado. Pag tertiary, kahit konti na lang, yung cover na lang yung may kulay, okay na yun. Okay? Stay consistent with similar elements. If you name your introduction begin, hanggang lesson 1, hanggang lesson 10, begin po yun. Huwag niyong iibahin yung mga element name. Lead your reader's eye. Avoid layouts that are weird. Anyway, you have no problem with this because we have a layout artist with St. Andrew Publishing House. Illustration. Make sure they complement content. If the picture doesn't add to the narrative of the text, remove them. Okay? Pag walang kinalaman yung picture, tanggalin. Kahit gaano kaganda yung larawan. Typography. Use one font family. One font family lang. Ano ba? So, iwasan natin kung ano-anong font na magulo. Ang gamitin na lang natin for font, Calibri, Arial, Times New Roman, ayan, Tahoma, Century Gothic. Yan yung mga binabasa at hindi masakit sa mata. And finally, icons, katulad ni Ma'am and Sir, saka yung double quotation mark kanina, should be clear and unique to the information you are presenting. Kailangan related siya at kailangan hindi siya copyrighted. Marami pong website na makakuha kayo ng picture katulad ng unsplash.com. Kaya icons katulad ng free.pik.com. Ang dami diyang illustration, libre. Ang daming OER or Open Educational Resources na pwedeng gamitin without emailing the source. Ilalagay nyo lang kung sino gumawa. Okay na. Okay? Marami po tayong Creative Commons na magagamit para sa pagbuo ng module. So, you could venture and try to study those in order to develop your material. Okay? COVID-19 may have disrupted our way of teaching and doing things, but we should not wait for the waves to pass. Instead, we should get the tools that we need in order to ride and surf through these waves. Ang ibang analogy sa pandemya parang storm daw, no? Kailan kaya lalabas? Kailan kaya matatapos yung storm? When will this storm end? There are people who would like to wait. But then again, there's us. Nandito tayo, no? Believe as teachers, as writers, that life isn't about waiting for this storm to pass. It's about learning how to dance in the rain, kagaya nga ng sabi ni Vivian Green. So I hope with the presentations that we provided, St. Andrew provided this afternoon, we're able to help you. Okay? We're able to help you and your students in Gordon College how to ride this wave that is the new normal. Much magandang hapon po. Okay, now we will be answering the questions. We are going to give you a minute, siguro, if you still have questions in mind regarding the presentation. And then we will answer them. Our moderator, Lloyd, will be flashing it on our screen. Okay, so I would like to call in Marlon and Dr. Chody San Andres for question and answer portion. Okay, Marlon's here already. Do you have a question, Lloyd? Okay, from Ma'am Ira, Chloe Dilo, is there an ideal number of slides, pages per module? And we're joined in by our Vice President, Dr.
Sir, nakalimutan na ako ni sir. Imelda Soriano, sir.
Imelda Soriano, ma'am. Yes. Ma'am Imelda Soriano. Ang tinatawag ko pang Vice President for Academic Affairs. Si Ma'am pala, si Ma'am Imelda pala ay VP. VP for Generosity. Ano?
VP for Generosity.
And kabonggahan. Ayan. Is there an ideal number of pages per module? As a writer, wala po. Ano? Kasi as much as possible, we try to cover all the topics that we need to topic. We need to cover all the competencies that you need to cover in your subject. Ngayon, sa publisher side, tanong po natin sa proprietor ng St. Andrew kung meron po bang minimum number of pages sa printing.
Sa minimum pages sa printing, wala. Pero I would suggest, kapag modular o module, pwede naman siya ng mga 100, depende sa content ng syllabus or syllabi, or depende doon sa lesson plan ng mga basic education.
Writer ng St. Andrew, kung meron po bang minimum number of pages sa printing.
Sa minimum pages sa printing.
Ayan, we are also joined in by Ma'am Christine Joy Mendoza, the Director for HRD. Lloyd, do you have another question? Catherine Yap. Okay. Hi, sir. Can we request for a sample modules? Do we have sample modules at St. Andrew Publishing House that I guess could guide them?
We have a workbook and sample of module, pero it was printed or published last year or 2 years ago. But I would suggest you can have the new modules based on the presentation and lecture of Sir Paul Mendoza. We have modules, workbook, we have another type of module published last 2 years ago. Pero the same content, but if you are going to compare to the presentation of Paul, mas modified siya kay Sir Paul at saka mas latest siya.
Okay, so what we could do is to recalibrate, i-tweak natin yung mga existing modules ng St. Andrew para mas mabilis din yung process eh. Meron pa ba tayo?
Wala na.
Wala na. So I guess I will turn the screen over to Ms. Christine Joy Mendoza, Director HRT, for the presentation of certificates. And then it will be followed by the closing remarks of our beloved VP, Dr. Imelda Soriano.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir Marlon, Sir Paul, Sir Chody, Dr. Soriano, good afternoon. I apologize for the lost connection a while ago.
Una yung dalawa.
So yes, thank you for your insightful presentations. Allow me to present the certificate of appreciation to our speakers.
Tama.
So the citation reads, this certificate of appreciation is awarded to Mr. Marlon B. Santos for being the resource speaker on webinar on developing instructional materials for virtual learning environment held the 17th of June 2020. Signed, Ms. Arlida M. Pame, College President, and Mr. San Andrews, President and CEO of St. Andrew Publishing and the Chairman of PAFTE Region 3. Thank you, Sir Marlon. Okay. Next
Welcome po.
certificate. Yes, sir. Next certificate, the certificate of appreciation is awarded to Mr. Paul Anthony B. Mendoza for being the resource speaker on the webinar on developing instructional materials for virtual learning environment held on 17th of June 2020. Signed, Ms. Arlida Pame, College President, and Mr. Chody San Andrews, PhD, President and CEO of St. Andrews Publishing and the Chairman of PAFTE Region 3. Thank you, Sir Paul.
Thank you po. Welcome po.
We hope to see you again in our future webinars, Sir Paul
Hi.
and Sir Marlon. Thank you
Sure
very
po,
much.
sure. And now for the closing remarks, I will turn you over to Dr. Imelda Soriano, our Vice President.
Sige sir, kokorek ko na. I'm the college administrator.
Ayun!
Opo.
Kasi sabi po kasi ng aming moderator.
Hindi, okay lang yun sir. Position is nothing. Alam mo naman yun. Okay.
Alam po ng Dr. Chody yun.
Alam ni Sir Jody yun. So,
Yes po.
good afternoon to all of you. Now that we have come to the end of our webinar, I would like to extend on behalf of Gordon College my deepest gratitude to our competent speakers and of course our sponsor, to Mr. Paul Anthony Mendoza, Mr. Marlon Santos, and our and Dr. Ali, that the one who recited this morning. And of course, thank you very much to Sir Cody, my good friend, for providing our
Ayun.
academic community a very useful and relevant platform to gain information and insight in addressing flexible learning and virtual learning environment. Thank you for sharing your resources to giving the best speakers for us. Dr. Darwin Pagi, of course, our BBA, our Vice President for Academic Affairs, keeps on looking for a webinar like this. See to it that our faculty will be ready enough to provide a quality education through flexible learning. Christine Mendoza, our moderator, job well done. This web-based seminar has indeed provided us with an invaluable opportunity to address common concerns in the implementation of flexible learning. As we transition to the new normal in education, we shall be adapted to the current situation and, of course, continue to deliver quality education programs and services. This necessitates the identification of appropriate strategies and approaches in teaching for flexible learning, as well as the development of instructional materials for virtual learning environments. May I also take this opportunity to remind the participants, our faculty, that this webinar is only a part and a starting point towards implementation of the flexible learning in a virtual environment in the higher education institutions. This effort must be sustained, and we count on you to achieve our goal, especially the goal and the vision mission goal of Gordon College in providing quality education at a local college. It's been a pleasure being with you all. Maraming salamat at mabuhay tayong lahat. Thank you again, Sir Chody, St. Andrews Publishing. Thank you very much. And to the two wapong speakers. Thank you.
Ay, totoo po yan. Charot.
Natawa akong bigla eh.
Natawa ka bang
Hello,
biglas?
VP Soriano. Hello, ma'am. All
Bibi
of
talaga,
you.
sir. College Administrator. Pagagalitan ako ng mga VP natin.
And
Maraming
that is,
salamat po.
salamat po sa inyo lahat. And see you soon.
See you soon, sir.
Opo.
Ano?
So with that, maraming salamat po, and we hope that we were able to share what we know to you. Salamat po.
Salamat po.
Thank you.